One source, one energy, we all bound to. One force, one God, make the sound move.
Yeah, and I'm bound to make the ground move. With every step I take, earth shake as I pound through. Broke down barriers and rooms that are soundproof. Opened up my eyes, lost lies, and I found truth. God, on my side every time. Stargates open when these portals intertwine. If it don't align, it's a sign to get back in line with the colors going up your spine.
At the center of everything, Taurus vortex. My conscience will abort threats, leave them at the doorstep. I see singular, resonate with the nebula. Angelic source, our horse forms molecular. My green chakra absorb love, light being raw, sun, divine medicines. Ancestors used before us. Calculate my origins, let them know that more's won. Every day a battle, ascension is when the war's won.
Hard pounding every day, every step I take. Only mean I'm that much closer to winning the race. Enemies is getting closer, they tracking my pace. When them old demons show up, that mean I'm closer to finish line. I'm OD in them realms, still gotta pay your dues, dog. Realize yourself, heal self from the roots of. Be the twin flame to yourself, let the fire burn the roof of.
In and out the stargates as I breathe. Through the wormhole I'm about to leave. Dipping in and out, I dodge and weave. All is energy, pranagy.
If it's not for me, I let it go. I'm not stressing no more. Getting in tune with the earth. Getting in tune with my soul. I will be okay. I'll still find a way. 'Cause I have what it takes. And I could never break. Yeah, cannot break me. The heartache, it only made me. Mastering myself, staying top and yeah on the daily. Going through the phases, healing through the changes. I've been transforming into the greatest version of myself. Version of myself. Becoming the greatest version of myself. Version of myself. Version of myself. Become the best version of myself, version of myself, version of myself. Become the best version of myself. I'm becoming the best me that I can be.
Whoa. You ain't gotta talk about bodies that you never caught. You ain't gotta try to rock Prada, you can buy Lacoste. Trying to follow trends, gonna throw your zen way off. Take a good look in the mirror when you feeling lost. Be yourself, king. Should be yourself. Should be yourself, king. Should be yourself. Should be yourself, king. Should be yourself. And really the greatest thing that you could be is to be yourself. It's a whole lot of insecurities on display. When he go and spend his whole advance on a diamond chain. When he tricking off on these hoes trying to fill the void. When he steady popping on these ends, trying to numb the pain. When he flexing all on the gram, showing off the bands. When he knowing damn well that he got it off a scam. I don't want to see you do a bid trying to get a lamb. It's a lot of ways to go legit, think about your fam. Cause you ain't got a lie to kick it. You ain't got a pop prescription.
Peace and chaos. Welcome back, YouTube family. And Chelsea was right. This is the first stream of 2024, the year of the X. So make sure you support these artists I just showed. I put all of their names up and get that information in their albums. We want to give reverence to spiritual, metaphysical music genres, especially in hip hop, because when you can transmute that into a higher frequency, I feel like that's a very positive thing. So welcome new subscribers, anyone that's coming over that's new to the channel. Here at the Spiritual Shade Room, which is the true occult newspaper of Memphis Academy, our job is to educate the masses on esotericism, occultism, hyperlucidity, Aletheism, ufological phenomena, spirituality and spiritism, soul physics, and esoteric engineering, and enlightening the purpose of Christology in one's own path and the grammatography of language and vibrations, which is tonalities within the NAGAPATHU system, the system of the Nagas, which is our very own language of vibrations, called the Gamma Delta Fet that we cover on Patreon. So we go over gematria on here. We cover the world rituals on the world stage. We go into mysticism and spiritual techniques, spiritual technologies to motivate and encourage, and ultimately for you to utilize the research to empower the deities inside of us all. What's up, YouTube family? Everyone needs to click that like button right now. I have one hell of a video for you today, one of the magnum opuses on this channel. And I will have a Q&A after the lecture for any questions. I wanted to start a little bit earlier so we can get all of the information in, and then we can talk about all of the stupid stuff going on in the world after we get the metaphysical information out the way so everyone can understand that. So make sure you click the like button and check out my last video too, Year of the X. The X symbology is crazy right now. I'm going to get into some of that today. And it's very important that you understand the X symbology if you haven't yet. And all of my moderators, make sure you're moderating the room, because I'm not going to be able to look in and out the room like I usually do as much. I have to get into this information early so we can complete it all, because we got a lot of phases to go through. I got a lot of things to address separate as well. So my moderators, be on your P's and Q's. I don't know any trolls. We don't have prototypically problems with trolls. On Patreon, we did that one time within the last month, but regulate. Don't overdo it though. Now, over the past few weeks on Patreon, we've done a deep dive into the legend of the Jews and Israelite Kabbalistic Qliphothic relations to the underground tunnels. Today's video is Underspace Decoded, because we've been getting deep into the underground tunnels. Also, flat earth Talmudic cosmology. Talmudic flat earth cosmology. How the esoteric lore of the flat earth proceeds the literal search of finding proof of the firmament and flat earth evidence. We can show you some things. Let me show you some things early before I start to cover some of this information. There's a book you need to get, and this is going to be later on. I'm going to go into this book later in the video, but the book is called The Legend of the Jews by Louise Ginsburg. And this is going to go deep into what the Cabal is doing. They're trying to replicate some things out of here in the Talmud, and we have that information. We can show you in the book Legend of the Jews that the reason they found those tunnels in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, has to do with the symbology here that I'm about to show you of the flat earth model. Where's that flat earth model? Hold on, guys. Right here, if you look at, most of the flat earthers, especially Brother Sanchez, shout out to that brother, they show this model right here. But if you look at the cranial structure above the skull, it's the same thing as the flat earth. So crown height. So this is the crown of your head, also connected to the crown chakra, which is Kepler on the Kabbalah. A lot of that stuff in the tunnels is connected to the tunnels of Set, and has to do with the symbology of semiotics, which is the study of symbols. But I'm getting ahead of myself saying this, but I want you to see this is going to be an educational video to tell you what's about to go down in the spiritual realm and the esoteric strip over the next couple of months to 100 years, maybe 1,000 years. I don't know. It could happen tomorrow. I don't know. But I'm going to address some of the people who was mistaken about who I am and what I'm doing for this community, separate from YouTube decoders. And I'm gonna do that in a minute. I'm not gonna do that early. I'm gonna do it in a minute, but I have to address that because I see some comments coming up. The channel is growing slightly. We're around 7,000. We'll be at 10,000 before the next couple of months. So I want some people to understand what this is about. All of that will be nipped in the bud today for sure. We have to establish the hierarchy of priesthoods separate from acolytes. The neophyte believes everything is physical, green bug-eyed aliens Nephilim and the elite bloodlines, and that, that's all the neophyte. You're just beginning to get into the information if that's what you believe. It's way deeper than that. It's in the symbology and it's in the esoteric lore. But understand that most of these things will not show up that you believe in. We have to know now. The Aquarius, the age of Aquarius is about knowing. It ain't about believing. Pisces was about believing. Aquarius is about knowing. So it's either you believe something or you're going to tell me what you know. Tell me what you know. Tell me what you believe. But Rachel Starr Thompson, listen, she wrote an article on the Judahite Zionists and how they are waiting on the return of the Messiah, son of David, which I will go into that. But I cover some of that in the Vedic strips in the video, the Maitreya, in the Lands of Black Light. I did that video. A lot of people didn't really check that out. There's some great information. But the term Messiah is the Meshiach in Hebrew, which means the anointed one. It comes from the Hebrew word Meshach. It means to smear, to anoint with oil, a special consecration by God, appointment to a significant task. That's the people breaking through into the secret traditions of the pole star. All of this shit is pole star mysticism. I have to emphasize that. So the gods, the Nephilim, the giant. I'm going to show you all of these decoders have it wrong. Now you have to make a decision. If you listen to this channel, you can go ahead and leave if you want to at this point. You can believe the fantasy aspects of the truth because there's some truth in some of the stuff they're saying, but it's not literal. So you have to make a decision. You want to believe the fantasy aspects and just sit around and just keep regurgitating the same thing that a lot of these cults of Edom, go back and watch my video, The Reptilian Myth. I think that's the classic video on this channel. How did the grifting start going all the way back? H.P. Lovecraft warned you about that. Or you want to break into the threshold of the knowledge on the other side. I'm not here to tell you to believe me, because I'm not going to save you. You're going to have to save yourself. See, the frequency is going in a direction now where it's time for people to understand that the only person that's going to save you is yourself. Your higher self is coming to save you. That's the only thing that's about to happen. So with all of this stuff about to come up with the election, civil war, all of these things we'll get into, you have to be knowledgeable so you can prepare and be ready in your own auric field to handle these transactions of energies that's about to happen and go down. It's happening very quickly. Put my graph back up. So so I'm not here to tell you to believe me. You don't got to believe me at all. Trust me. I'm going to give you sources and I'm going to give you connections that you can go research yourself. You don't need me. The Messiah is plural. If you understand this information I'm about to give you, you were chosen to be a part of that morphogenetic lattice of waveform conduits. We talk about that on Patreon. To change the plateau of the third dimension. It's called Olam Haba, another Hebraic term that I spoke about. I spoke about this on my last channel that got deleted. This goes way back. Olam Haba, the people who use knowledge, this new dimension called Olam Haba is going to be the people who use knowledge collected over their lifetimes and incarnations through the physical cocoon to make the quantum leap back into the Godhead, which then leads to a transmittance to the Jerusalem that was promised. Your Bible said that ye are gods and the scriptures cannot be broken. So you're a part of the Godhead. Go back and read the Bible. Read it correctly. Some people try to say, oh, they're not talking about that and all that. Yeah. There's a book this woman wrote. What was her name? Her name was, let me find it real quick. Called Ye Are Gods by Anna Lee Scarin. I want you to get this book by Anna Lee Scarin. Ye Are Gods. There you go, right there on the screen for you. want you to go ahead and cop this, because it's going to break down all of the scriptural text that reference to that verse. So all of those people who are saying they wasn't talking about that, you better come with some scholarship. You better come with something. Don't come with your beliefs. So the world to come, Olam Haba, isn't even a physical reality. The Garden of Eden wasn't even a physical reality. I'm going to get into that, man. So I know that's a lot of sauce. You know, we got too saucy a little bit too early with that, but I want to begin to help you understand the concepts and why this channel was established in the first place. This is a big quote. I don't think I've said this quote on this channel yet. This is a big, big quote. The light of the cosmos and the interdimensions is called Horus, or it's called Horus, where the word hero comes from. The word hero was transliterated in Greek, or Heru was transliterated to mean the great face of God. When Jacob wrestled the angel, he saw the great face. The great face was called Penuel, which is the pineal, but Horus is the representation of this light field consciousness, a primal light field that comes before the color spectrum. Color and light is two different things. I'll explain that, quantum chromodynamics. But the quote I want you to always understand, when Horus is a child, the elementals are his protectors. When he becomes an adult, the elementals become his servants. So okay, let me explain that. When you're a child, the spirit realm, or the energies of your ancestors are protecting you. But when you become an adult, when you come of age, and the Camites or the Egyptians acquitted the age of adulthood to around 33. So America reversed that, said he was an adult around 18. 33 is when the spinal cord fully grows in the body, and the spinal cord is the ladder in Freemasonry, the ladder of lights, all of this stuff that's connected, the serpent, all of that stuff is connected. Jacob's ladder is the spinal cord. Once your spinal cord fully develops, you get full usage of the Kundalini energy. I know everybody think that's satanic. You got to break through. You're in the alkalite side. You use the Kundalini energy every day. It ain't nothing but cold fusion. When you go into the dream realm, sometimes you wake up in cold sweats. You had a Kundalini experience without you knowing. And the reason why you didn't know it is because your consciousness isn't in the right mind frame, in the Daf spire of your soul, to absorb the radiation that's coming from the lattices of the other side, which is knowledge and frequency. So you're just going through the world, going through the motions like a piece of paper blowing in the wind. And that's how it's going to be when you finally leave this earth. If you don't get into that knowledge sphere and begin to absorb that frequency, you're going to be blowing around, and then you're going to have to reincarnate. And like I say, you might have to come back 20 years in the future and be a T-Rans. Those of you who know, I can't use that word, but y'all know what T-Rans mean, because that's where this world is heading. So when that cold spot popped up, remember I covered, even before the year of the X, I think this probably go back before Corvus Tenebris, but I covered that during the Sukkot festival, when the Israel war popped off in Gaza, scientists found this mysterious cold spot in the regions by Boetes, Leo, and Virgo, and it goes into the Cybele mythology. You know, Virgo and Leo is the beauty and the beast, which is connected to the Cocteau twins, Elizabeth Fraser. I spoke on that Year in the X. You can go back to Year of the X video to get the Cocteau twins breakdown, and come to Patreon to get the full article. I got this long article breaking down what the Cocteau twins is and how it plays into this Super Bowl in Las Vegas. One of their albums is called Heaven or Las Vegas, something like that. It all connects. So this cold spot is an indication that something in the Messiah, or the Messiahs, is opening up. And they call this cold spot, you know, biblically, they talk about the Whore of Babylon. They're now placing the Whore of Babylon in the sky as a astrotheological constellation, right? By Boetes, because it's connected to the shepherd, which, you know, the shepherd is connected to the Christos energy, the story of Jesus, and all of these things. But this cold spot, there was another article came out that said it leads to a parallel dimension. And at that Sukkot festival, where there was a massacre in Israel right before Hamas attacked, the name of the people who funded that Sukkot, by the way, the word Sukkot means festival of the harvest. And Boaz holds a scythe like Chronos, which is, you know, reference to the scythe is the harvest, harvesting energy from people. Chronos ate his kids. He harvested energy, which is also metaphysical. But basically, the name of the people who funded this event was called, they were called something. The name was Latin, but it meant parallel universe. I can't remember their name, but the name of the people was their name was the parallel dimension or something. Let me look it up real quick. Sukkot Festival. I don't want to give you all the wrong information. Parallel. Hold on, Israel. Okay, here it goes. Sukkot Festival. It was a music festival that occurred. They call it the Ream Massacre. Okay, it's called La Parallel. That's what it was called. And basically that word meant parallel dimension. But around that time, the scientists had uncovered this cold spot, and they was talking about a parallel dimension. And the cold spot is next to Boaz, next to the constellation that represents the deity of harvest. What is the coincidence of this? All of this is astrotheology. The ancients told you that. So the cold spot is representative of the mother of Babylon, the mother of God, which goes into the androgyne information. I'm going to have to break through what the Talmud is saying and what they're doing with the la'afo. I'll explain that word later. Those on Patreon, y'all know what that means. Going into Kybella or Kybel. Kybel is also connected to the flat earth mythos, because in the center of the flat earth, also in the center of the hollow earth, they speak about the black sun, which I'll get into. There's this thing called the rupus nigra that I'm pointing at, which is the same area in your cranial where the pineal gland would be, right in the center of the head. And they say the center place of the flat earth cosmology is called the black stone. When we hear about the Kaaba stone, we hear about these meteorites. Panspermia is a scientific evaluation of how possibly a comet caused human life. Everything came from a comet. Look up panspermia. But Kybel is also a goddess that's connected to the black stone, what it says, linking the black stone. And you can get this, all of this I'm about to read to you is coming from the book. I told you I'm gonna give you my scholarship. The book is called In Search of God the Mother, The Cult of the Anatolian Kybel by Lynn E. Roller. $84 to get this book. But what they're saying, it says, linking the black stone in Mecca to the goddess, Kybel is akin to linking the black Madonnas in the churches. So here's the whole Pope Catholic thing, to the pre-Christian goddess. So there's a pre-Christian goddess or goddesses. As a manifestation of the goddess Kybella, the black stone can be traced even further back in the time in Africa. Evidence provided by Lucia Birnbaum links the worship of Kybel to the worship of the predecessor Isis, whose origins were in Nubia. The black stone was the epiphany of the goddess. And I will begin, turn the version, okay. Adam, Abraham as the original founders of the Kaaba. So Kaaba, you got the connection to Isis, you have the connection to the black stone, which connects to Kybel. And then they go even deeper. It says, dressing black stone, Islamic tradition claims that it was sent down by God and entrusted to Abraham as a white stone. Go get the book Polaria, Gift of the White Stone. They're talking astrotheology right here. A white sapphire from the garden. The Garden of Eden is where the pole stars is. Is where the seven, they call it the seven rishis. They rotate around this primal star called Sirius that we all know. But it's connected to the worship of the mother. It said that the stone turned black from the sins of the children of Adam. The sins, let me explain this. The sin of the children. What is the sins? What is it? I have to break this thing down, man. You say it sounds echoey. How can y'all hear me now? You say it sounds like I'm in the bathroom. Okay, I don't know what's going on with my mic. Hold on, guys. Let me try to connect it. Okay, is that better, guys? Put a 1 in the chat if my sound is better. Put a 1 in the chat if that's better, or is it the same? Okay, Rod says it's better. Says sounds hollow. I don't know. I moved into a new space, and I got a lot of room up in here, so I got to wait for me to fill this space up. Says still echoing. I don't know. I have no idea, guys. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't echoing on Patreon. Wasn't echoing. I don't want to unplug it and put it back in because that's going to reset the video and have the video all messed up. So, yeah, y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear me. It's all right. Yeah, y'all be all right. Y'all want perfect sounds and all of that. Y'all be all right. As long as you can hear what I'm saying. So, basically, what I'm saying is that the sins of the children of Adam was when the pole stars was in a certain position during ancient times. Understand that the stars are moving. When the pole stars shifted, we saw the first polar shift event, and the ancients didn't know what that was. The first polar shift, they didn't know what happened because the stars were supposed to tell them time. I'm gonna get into this. The stars are supposed to tell them time. The giants, Nephilim, the timekeepers, the watchers, are the people who watch the pole region where the seven rishis were, and it told them what time it was. It gave them a calendar before the calendar, and it told them, I'll explain that in a second too. I want to get ahead of myself. But basically, the sin was in the first polar shift, the stars shifted into a position and a new dynasty came in during the Kemetic era. And they said, hold up. Those stars aren't telling the same time anymore. That's the first sin. So then those stars were deemed daemons. They called the seven pole stars daemons because it stopped telling the same time. So civilization had to go off a different type of calculating of time. You see? You see that? So the first children of Adam was when the pole stars was in a certain region in the constellations, and then it shifted, and that was a sin. They consider that the sin, but it's also the sine wave. Sin is connected to sine wave, and its etymology, onomatology, where these words come from. The sine wave is what directs the cosmic energy so we can get the information to decipher what is happening in reality. That's what the constellations are doing. G. LaRoe says sounds perfect. So some of y'all need to get y'all janky phones. So it says that it turned black from the sins of the children of Adam in a touch of the menstruating woman in the pre-Islamic times. They're talking about Kybella, expanding beyond traditional Islamic mythology, women's spirituality, sources demonstrate, I'm about to go into the demons, that worship the black stones as many precedents in antiquity. The vessel of the stone was primary images of the goddess, beginning their epiphanies in the Neolithic era and ending with the mysterious images in alchemy and Grail legends. So the Grail legends is about also the pole region. Black stones represented the goddess in several cultures. White, Bering, and Cashford Bering and Cashford wrote that in their book, The Myth of the Goddess. The associate goddess Cybele, is with the Kaaba, describing the worship of the black stone. The earliest forms of the goddess Cybele's name may have been Kubaba or Kumbaba, or 5 ideograms of Kubaba. It also comes to be Kabbalah. Kabbalah comes from the word Kybella. I just broke a big mystery for you. Kabbalah comes from the word Kybella. So the Kabbalah is also based on the polar region, the energies of the polar region. We just gave you another key to it. But then they started having these women. These women started to come around called Sibyls, based off the word Kybella. And what they could do, they could channel celestial information from the polar region. And basically they spoke in a language called Inglacia. What's the name of that thing? Inglacialia, something like that. Let me try to look it up for you. It's called Glossolalia. Okay. Glossolalia is basically, they spoke in this unknown language. They call it the language of the angels. And the Cocteau twin singer, Elizabeth Fraser, she sings in Glossolalia. And the Glossolalia is like the same thing in church when people be speaking in tongues. When the Kundalini rises, they start speaking in this weird language that's not in any of the other, languages from the hieratic syntax. The first language is the Ge'ez language from the hieratic syntax. Ain't no damn Sumerian shit, all of that. The word Sumerian, Sumer, comes from the word Sam or Sum, and that comes from the word Cam, which also means black. The word Sumerian is the original Sam, Cam, Semite. Semite is one of the etymologies, Sumerian. So they're still talking about this black esoteric information connected to the stone and region celestially. It's called Glossolalia. So they started to become basically the channelers of Kybella. And these priests started to worship these women. Every king had to have a Sibyl come in, and the Sibyl would give them information of the future because they spoke in this language. Now, the Sibyl information is connected to a series of women. All of this is connected to what's going on. I'm going to go through a lot of scholarship today, but one of the Sibyls is connected to this new Civil War movie. I was just on Truth Seeker's Twitter space. Shout out to Truth Seeker, you're in there. Anybody that came from that Twitter space. And I was talking about the Civil War and the connections of the X, the Confederate flag and the Shiloh flag, and all of this stuff. Where's Kirsten Dunst? Here's Kirsten Dunst right here. So Kirsten Dunst, she played the Sibyl in a lot of movies, and I covered that as well. She also was Spider-Man's girlfriend, and she was Mary Jane. And Mary is also the name of the mother goddess. So her prominent role is Mary. And she's the star actress in this new Civil War movie. The war is about a bombardment of energies from Taurus, the bull, and Virgo, the virgin, which is a form of the mother. It's the daughter form. So Kirsten Dunst also played in this movie called The Upside Down. Here we go right here. This is going into what this video is about, the underspace. You got to know what the underspace is. I'm going to get into that in a second. And what the upside down is, because you remember in Stranger Things, they were referencing a realm called the upside down world. Y'all remember that? And at the end of Stranger Things, they made this big X. They also have this entity, which is one of the Lovecraftian deities in Nyarlathotep, which is the Black Pharaoh. Let me show you that real quick. I kept my Cthulhu information on my Lovecraft breakdown of the deities. That might run y'all away when I when I break down these deities. That might be a little bit too dark for y'all. But this is in Nyarlathotep, called the Black Pharaoh, which has to do with the blackness again. A lot of people ain't ready for that, but the entities is reminiscent of Nyarlathotep, and they went to this world, and they call it the Upside Down, and it looked like the same world, but it was in another dimension, because we are part of a multi-quasi reality. You see what I'm saying? And they also did it in Monarch, Legacy of the Monsters, back into the Lovecraftian thing. Anything about monsters is speaking about the mysteries of the soul. The word monster comes from monstare. Monstare is the mystery. I broke that down on Patreon. But they went into the hollow earth. They went into the hollow earth. In this, here's the hollow earth. They went down inside of the earth, which connects to what this lecture is about. What is the Upside Down? It's connected to what Underspace is. They came out with 4 Godzilla movies in 1 month, and you think they playing around? Because the hourglass on Monarch, this is the symbol of Monarch, is this hourglass. If you look up what the hourglass is, it's called the extinction symbol. This is the symbol of, this is the extinction symbol, because they're trying to extinct everybody, which I'm going to show you. The Lahafo and the Talmud is all about that. But the Monarch symbol symbolizes the hourglass. And basically, in this dimension, the people who have awakened, and I know that's a real woke term right now, but the people who are awakened are the last people left in the universe. There ain't nothing up there no more. There's only things going down inside of those people's amino acids and DNA. Because the hourglass is, if I pour the hourglass, if I flip it, all of the sand pours down to the bottom portion, correct? So if all of the sand is in the bottom portion, what is up top? There's nothing up top, only to flip it again, which is how we move into the underspace, which is what the Jerusalem, what the Judahites is talking about. The Lahafo means the turning upside down of the world in Hebrew. And basically, I'm going to get into that. I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't want to get too far because that's a whole other part of the lecture. But they flipped all of the information upside down. That's why your ass so confused. But also the energy has left those celestial areas and they're in us now. You see? So that's what the hourglass is on Monarch. I'll get into that a little bit later as well. But upside down, yeah, everything's upside down right now. Absolutely. But let me go into some of this. Let me get into this. This Kybella is the first T-Ran's goddess. Y'all know what I mean when I say that word. This is the first time they worship a T-Ran's goddess. And shout out to Wendy, because we're trying to understand what the T-Ran's connection is to all of this. There's something connected to the Star of Renfam. I ain't gonna say what it is because they get mad. Well, you gotta say what it is. The Star of David is connected to this thing called free martinism. And Wendy sent this from our Skype group, which there's a lot of symbology I can break down with this. Whole lot of symbology. I can't get into all of that. This ain't a free martinism video. But she sent me this thing. It says, one of the Kabbalah secrets revealed. What is free martinism? These people are being transformed in the uterus. By the 8th week of pregnancy, the genitalia have not been formed yet, so they inject the opposite hormone into the people, into the womb, and a blood test will reveal if there's testosterone presence in the mother's blood. And the result is that the external part of the body is formed according to the hormone being injected. So a boy will be born with the skeleton of a woman with a, I can't say that word, but he will have to take a external testosterone for the rest of his life. Conversely, if estrogen is injected, the boy will be born with the V word, but will not be able to have kids since they cannot pass through the narrow cavity in the pelvis. So these are transformers, old school transformers that would just chop out the test. Y'all know what I'm saying, of a boy and give the mother testosterone from animals in order to change the girl, and that is their secret. It happens in nature by accident. Google what a free Martin is. It's connected to Freemasonry. So most of these people are exactly what I explained, but it's the worship of Kybele, because there was a group of priests called the Galli back in Roman times. Is where your book in the Bible, Galatians, comes from the Galli. The Galli were worshipers of Kybele and the Blackstone, the Kabbalah. And the Gallis were men who castrated themselves in order to worship their goddess. But the free Martinism is present in this whole T-Rans thing. I'm the biggest person on the internet that's broken down the T-Rans flag. Nobody has spotted the T-Rans flag more than me on the internet. You will see these colors in almost every music video. You're going to see these colors in music videos, movies. I just be laughing. I see it all the time because people ain't going to see it, because you got to be in a certain sphere of knowledge to spot it. You see what I'm saying? Some people will start to spot it because once I reveal these things, people will let me know what it is. Yeah, it's connected to the Angina. I'm going to the Angina later. I'm going to go into that later. But your boy, T.D. Jakes, Pastor Power Bottom, look up what a power bottom is. He came out and he said this thing, and it's connected to Kybele and everything that I'm covering right now. And I'm going to get into the information. Listen to what he's saying. Let me see if the sound ain't too high so it won't blast y'all out. Somebody told me to check my sound.
I started thinking about coverings, and when I started thinking about coverings, I started thinking about clothing. And when I started thinking about clothing, I began to recognize that at its core, Paul is telling us that God is a dressmaker. Forgive the feminine usage. Normally, when we think of dressmakers, we think of women. They don't have to be, but we normally think of women. But if we use that inference, God is not insulted, because after all, he is our Father, but he is also the breasted one. He is our Father, but he is also the breasted one.
Free Martinism. Also, he's referencing the mother goddess, the androgyne. All of the guys used to be half male, half female in the beginning. But he's not talking about no esoteric stuff. He's into the whole Baphomet thing. He's speaking it from the other side of the information, which you can change in the Hermetic principles. There's 7 cosmic laws in Hermeticism. One of them is polarity. So he can take something that means a significance in the esoteric lore, and he's talking about this T-Rans thing and this whole other thing that's going on in the world where nobody wants to be what they are. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't get into that over here. So that's what's going on with him, and he's integrating God in it, so it won't fall back on him, because now he has the lesson out as a video speaking about how God is the breasted one. But he's still calling, but you saw in the video, go back and play it back. He said God is still a masculine energy. So it goes into free Martinism. Half of these people in the world, most of them is flipped upside down. What you're looking at is the opposite gender. So that's why I never go too much when people say, oh, that's a man. No, it's still a woman. They just say free Martin woman. And Wendy broke that information. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And look, it's part of the Kabbalah, which comes from Kybele. Now you start to get deeper because you have the etymology, and none of these decoders ain't going to break through to that, because the energy that's output coming from a spiritual perspective is going to be stronger than somebody who's trying to put some stuff out and get some likes, which most of these people are doing. I don't care how many people like the video. It's good if you do like the video, but really, I'm here for the ones that's here to do the work. That's who I was taught by, the greatest metaphysicists of all time. So I'm trying to speak to the ones doing the work. So go back and tell them, ask them if they know what a free martin is. You see? And this is the next thing. You got to start looking. Now, you go back and go into information and start looking at these people. You're going to start seeing a bunch of free martins now. I'm going to get all types of emails. Like I spotted one. So yeah, this is a whole lot of things going on. And that's what we're here to break you into. All right. So there was some symbolism. Let's move on. Everything I tell you on this channel or on Patreon, that's why Patreon is important, because Patreon is a community. It's a group of people that's on that level of frequency. They bring information to me, I bring information to them, and then we put it out and we have roundtable discussions and we break through some real parameters around what this information is about. I told you 2 videos ago about the Ravens connected to the Super Bowl. I said they may not even go to the Super Bowl, but best believe they will have something to do with the Super Bowl. Didn't I tell you that back in September? When the movie House of Usher came out, which we know Usher is performing at the Super Bowl, I told you the woman who was a Hyperborean, she came from where? She came from the center of the earth. That's where Hyperborea is. They call it the north, but they're talking about the hollow earth. And she turned into a raven to disguise her appearance. I said, this got something, everything to do with the ravens. Hold on, y'all. That noise is happening again. Hold on one second. All right, that shouldn't bother us no more. All right, so I told you about the ravens and how this woman was changing into, her name was Verna, which is the reverse of raven. If you do that, the acronym, reverse the words. So this is a picture of Kanye West on the cover of his new album called Vultures. His new album called Vultures, which is also talking about an imminent nuclear war. You see they're digging graves for the people. And this also represents the three crosses on Agartha. It's all symbology here. And also the Freemasons have to be buried alive. There's a lot of connections, but the raven is called the Dark Phoenix. In the video Corvus Tenebris, I speak about the Phoenix, but notice this symbology is around January in this time. We have this symbology around January, and he's in this thing that resembles an egg. Remember, Rihanna was in the same thing last year, and shout out to Adonijah. He the one who broke this information. And I give credit to anyone who see it, because once I start to see it, they start to see it, and that helps all of us. Adonijah, he just got in the Skype group. Brother is fire with decodes on Patreon. Going to another level, because you start to see the growth in people as well, and that's very important too, because that means the spirit is growing. The spirit is communicating. So he spotted this. He said, you know what? That's the same thing we talked about last year around the same time before the Super Bowl, because she performed at the Super Bowl. Now they got Kanye in it. And let me break this down to you. So we covered the Dark Phoenix and the Raven connection. to the Super Bowl. The last Super Bowl, which was between Kansas City and the Eagles, we saw Rihanna standing in the middle of an egg before her Super Bowl performance. Right before they posted these pictures. Now, Rihanna represents the goddess Inanna. That's why she sings the song "Oh Nana, What's My Name?" Inanna is her name. She's calling on the great mother goddess. Always goes back to the great mother. Inanna is another form of Kybella. So now she unveils her pregnancy during the Super Bowl wearing all red. Red is the color of Babylon. And while she's dancing with these men dressed in white. But when she's dancing, this red and white symbolism indicates the barium, the strontium, the aluminum in the chemtrails, along with the 5G signal waves called dead Oregon energy. You combine all of that barium, strontium, aluminum with the 5G signal waves. I want you to get a book called, I say it every video, y'all know I gotta say it, Geoengineered Transhumanism. Going back in the T-Rans thing. Transhumanism, because that's what it's all about. I'm gonna get into the Epstein stuff when we break that down. Geoengineered transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetism, and nanotechnology for synthetic biology. This is one hell of a book. Everybody needs that book to break down what they're doing. So when she was dancing out there, she was symbolizing, wearing the red, blood vessels, white and red blood vessels. That's what's flowing through your veins. And these things are being under attack. Your blood is under attack from the symptoms of the C word. We all know what the C word is. And the C word and what they're doing with the nanotechnology, nanoparticles, is attacking the heart and the bloodstream. And remember, the Kansas City Chiefs won that game in the same colors as Rihanna. So Rihanna had the colors of Kansas City, and they resemble the Knights of Malta. And Kansas City is known as the heartland of America. The actual Kansas City is known as the heartland of America. You get it? Attacking the heart. It's all there. It's all there. So it's all a big ritual. But around that same time, we had those mysterious egg balloons. Remember the egg balloons? People forgot about the egg balloons. Hold on, what was it called? Let me just say foreign balloons. But they resembled eggs. They ain't call them egg balloons. That's what we called them. I forgot. So these egg balloons was in the sky. You see this? And they had to blame China for it. And we didn't know what it was. And it's connected to this egg symbolism. We'll get into it for a minute right here. So understand what they did with Kanye is the same thing they did last year. But the egg balloons was happening when this extraterrestrial theory popped up that they shot down this UFO. And it also occurred around the time the Memphis incident happened with the guy Tyree Nichols, the king of Tyre. His name is Hiram Abiff. It was a Freemasonic ritual. The king of Tyre is Hiram Abiff. And we know the Masonic order of Memphis, Tennessee, is the Memphis Rite. The Memphis Rite order, or lodge, is the only Masonic order with 96 degrees. They were excommunicado, and let me put their symbol up here. This is their symbol here. Here's the egg again. They were excommunicado because they wanted a autocracy. A autocracy is when one person or whoever obtains the 96th degree in the lodge rules all other Memphis Rite lodges. Pretty much they're in control. One person's in control. So if you get the 96th degree before another person, y'all both can be at 95, you become basically the ruler of the Memphis Rite, and everybody have to follow you. And the other Masonic orders excommunicado this lodge, because it was the only lodge that followed the Egyptian lodges, because everything Masonic comes from the Moorish rites. That's right. Everything Masonic comes from the Moorish rites, and everything from the Moors came from the Egyptians and the Typhonians or the Cushites. That's where it comes from. So when you get the 96th degree, you become the king, basically. And the other Masonic lodges didn't want it to be like that. They didn't want an autocracy. They didn't want that. So they shut down the Memphis Rite Lodge. Then Queen Elizabeth, she died right before that at 96 years old. So it all makes sense. But the egg, the symbol of the Memphis Rite, is the Egyptian motif of Egyptian art called the Kneph. This is what this symbol is called, the Kneph. Theosophy speaks of the cosmogony of the egg. Its solar form is the coming of Purana Vishnu. Now you're gonna get some good information with that when I get into that. And how there has to be a yoking of solar and lunar energy to the north, going back into the pole symbolism, which is called the sacred bird, going to the dark phoenix or the phoenix energy. In Christianity, it becomes symbolized through the Holy Spirit, which is feminine, but that's blasphemous to say in the church, because the church has now in recent years become a patriarchal belief system that excludes the feminine from the Godhead. Matter of fact, a female figure, the mother of Babylon I spoke about, becomes linked with the main enemy of the Bible at the end of Revelation. But in theosophy, the creative God emerges from the egg. His name is Kanu, and he becomes Amun or Amun Ra, which means the hidden one. That's all about this underspace thing. I'm gonna get into that a little bit later, because Amun, let me show you something, because I'm gonna get into why the Israelite flag is blue. This blue color is the most holiest color and the most satanic color of all time. But Amun, which is one of the four omnis, he's blue as well. The four omnis are omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence, and omnibenevolence. And he's part of the Agdod of the original Egyptian creation myth, but he's all blue. He's the blue god, and also Tezcatli Polka in America is the blue god as well. We got two blue gods out of that pantheon, describing physics in the soul and the spirit. It ain't got nothing to do with no worship of a bunch of deities these other people talking about. But in theosophy, yeah, I just read it. Okay, so the lecture is going to speak on Amun. The hidden one is all in mythology, and the egg symbolizes the generative matrix from the pole star. So they got that symbolism on repeat to start this year. And then they brought out a new Disney TV series at the same time that Adonijah sent me as well. Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Now, I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen all of the other Percy Jacksons, all of the movies, and I broke that down before. But you got to go see this Percy Jackson, because there's a lot of occult symbolism in it. And I haven't watched the series, but Adonijah, he provided this photo. Now, first of all, you have to see the trident right here. Me, Tommy, Donut, Paranoid American, and what's his name from Decode Your Reality? Can't remember his name, but we all broke down the trident on the Aquaman video. Go on Truth Mafia, get the Aquaman. We broke down what the trident was and what that represents in Aquaman, because the Aquaman is about the two tridents, this trident that was controlling, minds. One was a black trident, one was the trident of Atlantis, and that goes into the whole Enlil thing, but it also goes into the Ukraine symbol, which is the trident. And don't forget about the war with Ukraine. That has something to do why Michigan won the national championship, which I'm going to go into in a minute. And it has to do with why the Nuggets, which their logo is the same Skull and Bones logo, they were the last ones to win the NBA championship. And they're also blue and yellow. They put this little red in there in the recent one, but their original color is blue and yellow. But you got the trident connected to Ukraine and the Khazarians, the origin of the Khazarians and their crest, but it's also connected to Biden because Biden represents the Bident, which is also a trident. A Biden is a two-pronged trident, but it's still the same trident before you get the three-prong, which is something Kabbalah represents the letter Shin in the Kabbalah. The Hebrew word Shin is the three, what the trident represents, but it's the weapon of the underworld. We're talking underworld science today. Logan, my bad, Logan. I'm sorry, guys. Logan is is it Decode Your Reality? I think that's his channel, Decode Your Reality. If I messed that up, Logan, I'm so sorry, man. Apologize. So, and shout out to Donut. I see you up in the chat, Donut. Shout out to Donut. So yeah, so Adonai sent me the picture. They went to the underworld. Here's the blue again. This blue, man, I'm telling you right now, is the blue is called Teklet in Hebrew. I'm gonna get into that later. I can't get into that right now. And the lightning bolt is representative of the Kabbalah. That's the lightning bolt right here. Also, them people over there in Germany, the Nazi. I'm not gonna say the real word, but they got that word from a indigenous tribe called the Nazis. They got that lightning bolt symbolism. Also, the Zionists got the lightning bolt symbolism from the Kabbalah too. Everything goes back to Kabbalah, goes back to Kabbalah, which goes back to free martinism. You know what that is? Go back, watch the video if you didn't catch that. So Adonai sent me this photo. Look at the underworld. Look at the underworld here. You see? It's the same thing. So this is Hades Palace. I didn't even see this picture until yesterday or last night. We had already picked this picture from Jersey's photos that he had. I said, okay, I'm gonna go with that picture to be the thumbnail. That was last week I picked that picture. And it looks just like this. So everything that we start to uncover and reveal, and I was talking about the La'afo in Hebrew a week ago, the flipping of the world, the flipping of reality. That's why I got two things coming out, one aspect, because it represents the flipping of reality, which is connected to the lecture today. But they got the same thing in Percy Jackson. And it's everything I'm telling you is going to pop up. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It don't got nothing to do with me. It got something to do with how it's moving right now. So these synchronicities, it's gonna unveil itself to you if you are able to sift through that wall and keep the neophyte perspective separate from the priest and priestess perspective. That's all it is. Turning upside down, or the world is Hebrew, La'afo. And I'll talk about that in the middle and end, and I'm gonna break you into the final plan of the Zionist Black Brotherhood of Kabbalistic wizards, and it has to do with the Hollow Earth theory, Talmudology, and flat Earth mysticism. The Qliphoth Nephilim mystery. I'm gonna unveil that today in a minute, and the tunnels, of course. You saw what happened in Brooklyn, Crown Heights. I showed you earlier. So let me nip this in the bud. I told you I was going to talk about this. We're about an hour and a half in. Let me nip this in the bud real quick. So I said Underspace, Decoded is the name of the video. We have a lot we're going to get into. I just want to address the people in my comments. And the comments don't bother me. I just like to put this on video. So if people come to my channel, they're like, this dude is weird as hell. This dude is all over the place. I saw somebody talking about he's real all over the place. That's good, because the original primordial force of the universe is chaos. It's chaos. All they did was create a civilized barbarism in our thinking, and we think we the shit. We're living in a civilized barbarism. That's all it is. So the chaos is part of how the ancients will build these temples, and the Greeks and the later Romans said that the Egyptians didn't know what the hell they was doing because there was mistakes in the hieroglyphs. They would show one model, and the model, they would have a column or a pillar that was 1 foot tall. Then they would build a 20-foot tall pillar next to it. They're like, what the hell is the Egyptians doing? The Egyptians understood that nature isn't perfect. Nature has mistakes in it. Nature has mistakes in it. So the chaos is representative, just like in nature, that everything ain't gonna be perfect. Every blade of grass is different. That's a spiritual perspective to understand that. So the information that I'm giving, they think there's an opinionated, and I'm not researching. I know some of y'all understand that I am, but I want you guys to, the people that's saying that, because I saw a lot of likes on the comment. You go back, y'all look at the comment. I asked y'all to name one person in the current day that's given as much scholarship. I'm talking about from books to articles to research papers, for you to go look it up yourself. Name me another person doing that. It's not an ego thing. I'm trying to just put this on video. We're going to nip it in the bud, leave it in the past. So that you come to your own conclusions outside of mine. It's not about me. You come to your own conclusion. That's what's the best thing about this channel. It ain't about Ani. It's about you coming to your own conclusions. I'm just here to be the voice and speak some of the conclusions that make sense to me. And maybe you can take it and it makes sense at a different perspective to you. So I'm not going to put the names up there, but I've been through all types of different esoteric communities, and they either have a methodology to how they teach with their research, which is cool, or some of them just have like flashy presentations, or they say a bunch of buzzwords repetitively, or some of them just pure grifters. I talked about the grifters in Reptilian Myth. Go back and watch Reptilian Myth, how that comes together. How they highlight a sensationalized topic like Nephilim or reptilian and regurgitate it over and over and name like one or two people like Zachariah Stitchin associated with their ideology to work and for it to work for them, when really Zachariah Stitchin works for the Judahite Zionists. I can prove that. If I need to do a video on that, I can prove that. They're the ones who began the Hegelian dialectics. So, but yeah, go back and watch Reptilian Myth. By the time you finish that video, you will see how these people develop a vernacular to make it acceptable to everyday people of how this information is. It turns common people into the cults of Edom. And I'm not here to go back into how all of that destroyed the essence of learning this type of knowledge. To learn this type of knowledge is a privilege. It's a privilege. You have to understand that. Yeah, Seer is a master teacher. He's not even in the category of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people today. A Seer goes back to the early 2000s. He's one of my master teachers. I brought him on my channel, the year before last. Some of these people y'all naming, well, I'm not talking about these new people today in the last 3 or 4 years. Some of the people y'all named been around 10, 15 years. You see? So I want to let the people know that you can't lump me in with the rest of these folk. Because some people try to box you in to define what you are in this new age era. I'm not a decoder. I'm not that. I know people liken me to a decoder. That's cool, but I'm more into other esoteric perspectives. Like there's this word in the Vedic text that I would describe myself. It's called the Vyashokishtam Yagrat Sarvam. Vyashokishtam Yagrat Sarvam. I'm learning this stuff from Kundalini. Kundalini's got me into this Vedic stuff. She's a master teacher of Vedic astrology. Y'all should go email her, get a natal chart reading, KundaliniAstrologer.com, no, at gmail.com. It'll change your life. She's on a whole other level when it comes to this. She even showed me a graphic. Just 1 second. Let me show you this before I describe that word. When you laying in your bed, how you lay in your bed can attract negative energy to you. So she sent me a chart where you place your bed at in your house, where your head is facing, can affect the frequencies of how your life is unfolding. And she sent me this graphic and it blew my mind. I'm still baffled to the day because I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. I didn't put it in here. Let me put it up here. I just saved it. Let me show you this real quick. Selene had sent me. She sent me this thing showing you, like, if you lay your head towards the north, you're bound to go through a lot of negative things in life. And based on your astrological sign, you should be laying your head in a certain direction. It's not popping up here. I don't know why. The demiurge don't took that out of my files. Let me read it to you right here. I got it in my notes. So you lay your head, your head has to face a certain direction. It's not uploaded. If your head is towards the north, that's the worst sleeping direction. It increases sickness and sleep deprivation. This is what the Vedic said. The best ways you should lay your head, or there's 3 other ways. You lay it west, south, or east. West gives you a good name. It may make you a little bit more popular and give you prosperity. Laying it east, it gives a good sleeping direction for students that increases your memory and your concentration. And laying your head south is also a good sleeping direction that increases wealth, happiness, and prosperity. So that's the Vastu sleeping directions. I'm going to talk about that in a second, what the Vastu is. So even where you lay your head affects this whole thing. Ain't nobody going to tell you that out here right now. Who's going to tell you that? I take the information because the people I deal with is on this frequency. But she told me, looking into my chart, so I'm resembling the Vyasha Kishtam Yagrat Sarvam. It means there is nothing under the sun that Vyasha has not touched upon. So I symbolize this sage named Vyasha. He touched on all disciplines of knowledge. He's known as the jack of all trades. He's considered the master of all trades. That's me. That's what she told me. She said, hey, from looking at your chart, there's not one thing that you can touch upon. You're going to go through multiple subject matters and master them all. She said, I'm an avatar of Purana Vishnu. I just talked about Purana Vishnu. My sidereal Vedic chart, natal chart shows Purana Vishnu cannot be defeated. He can't be defeated. That's what it says. It says the definition in cosmic genealogy of the Godhead, your Vedic chart can show you in person what is your cosmic genealogy, what is unfolding in your destiny thread. So it's a part of your path. So there's a story I want to tell you real quick before we get into this. Y'all know I always got that one story in my experience that I give on video. And that's how you know you're on the journey. If you can't give a story that's happening in your life that's transcending you, you're not on the frequency. I told you today was going to be a magnum opus. I didn't get to tell you this story. Not even Patreon. I don't. Some things I don't reveal right away. There's experiences that you may have that you don't need to let anyone know about it. That's a part of your path. Because I see wild stuff all the time. I see wild stuff, but I don't reveal everything. Of course, you have your personal life. But something happened to me, guys. I want to show you. Well, wait. Let me explain some stuff before I show you this. All right. So around New Year's, about a week and a half before New Year's, I got into a fight at a bar. I know that's shocking. I can't even fathom myself doing some low-level stuff like that at 32 years of age. It wasn't my fault, though. I had to defend myself. So don't think Ani jumping on people because he had a bar getting drunk. So this guy had my neighborhood. So I'm from this neighborhood. He had a tattooed on his shoulder. I was talking to someone, and he heard me speaking to somebody else. So he comes over, he daps me up because we all figure out, all three of us grew up on the same street in the same neighborhood. It's a very violent neighborhood. So it's known in the area. I live in Columbia, South Carolina. If you're from Columbia, South Carolina, you know what 48 is. If I say 48, you know what that is. So slightly after that, he accuses me of stealing his ring off his finger. And that was kind of weird. Me and Sadat speak about the significance of the ring. I'm gonna go into Solomon's ring in a minute, but it was real stupid stuff. Real stupid stuff, but don't even worry. It has something significant to it that's connected to what I'm saying. So the bad thing about it, the security guards are right there while this guy is accusing me of stealing his ring. They don't even check this guy. This dude is about 6'5", tall guy, you know, coming up in my face and stuff like that. I'm 6'3". I'm not a short guy, but he's definitely taller than me. And he's like right up on me talking about, give me back my ring or something. I know you took it or something. And everybody's outside watching, you know, and all of this is a part of the reason why I do this, you know, because what I'm about to explain. I don't tell things like this because it makes me or anyone else feel some type of way. This is an example of how alchemy of the Naga works, which is waveform frequency. Look at this jacket. I had this jacket on. I had just bought this jacket it was expensive, but I bought this jacket. This is the back of the jacket here. I didn't even know this was on the back. I like the aesthetics on the front of the jacket. I don't have a picture of the front, but this is the back of the jacket. It's very metaphysical. I'm explaining. I had this jacket on. What year is it right now? And what does it say? I bought this jacket the same day that I got into a fight with this guy. I'm about to explain some things. I'm about to explain what this is about. Bought this jacket the same day. You know, Ani was fresh as hell. You know, I'm outside, got my jacket, got my shoes on. I was just chilling with some friends, and this guy starts fighting with me. And I didn't even know this is on the back of the jacket, but I was attracted to the aesthetics. But what I'm showing you here is how the magic works. And we ain't talking about no satanic, all this. And we talking about how the cosmic frequencies can, even when the Christians just call magic miracles. All they do is put other names to it. Christians call magic miracles. This is how the miracles happen. So what I'm saying to you today doesn't have to be in the way that I'm describing. I'm just showing you a 3D experience that happened for me to reach a new level in my metamorphosis. So you can find something in what I'm saying with this story to realize the same thing may have happened to you recently. Maybe not in the same way, but because you may be a little behind on the rent or something like that, negative thoughts, you may have a traumatic past that affects you. You may have did something in the past still affecting you today. Or some stuff you're just not knowing. You're lost right now. You're not knowing what's next in this life thing. That's probably a situation you're going through. Sometimes when you're letting this overwhelm your thought forms, you miss the magic that's happening right before your eyes. And I'm about to show you. I'm about to prove to you. So this guy tells me we gotta fight. He said, "Yo, we gotta fight. Y'all know how I go. You like, yo, we got a strap. We got a strap." So I turned to security guards. I'm like, are y'all gonna let this just go down? Y'all gonna let this dude just accuse me of this stuff? It's a stupid accusation because you can't just take somebody's ring off their finger. You see what I'm saying? So this guy takes his jacket off. You know, he's trying to be tough. He's a hood guy. Security guards basically told me, they know him. But later I figured out that the guy's brother is best friends with one of the security guards. And that's why, that's why he got beer muscles. The guy trying to fight me. Beer muscles is when a person gets drunk and they feel like they're invincible and they can't get, fucked up because they're inebriated. But he felt extra beer muscles because he knew the security guard best friends with his brother. So, but this happens all the time. A lot of people got those beer muscle stories. Person get drunk and feel like they're invincible. So I say whatever. So listen, before I was Ani Osaru, I was a club promoter. I was out in these streets, early 20s. I started club promotion back when I was 16 years old. When I was 16 years old, I was generating about $8,000 a week in club promotion. So best believe when I retired out of that lower vibrational lifestyle, it wasn't for me to do a grift, because I could have made a whole lot more money doing club promotion than what I do today. So, but my nickname was King Savage. That's what my nickname was. So it was low vibrational, but that king was still in the title, even at my lower state of consciousness. So to make a long story short, I'm not going to explain what all happened. If you know me personally, I'll tell you, but it didn't end well for him. It didn't end well for him. So I can't give you all the details, not because, I don't love y'all. It's because YouTube censors stuff like that. But I ended up placing the hands of Ogun on this brother. Let's just say that. I put the hands of Ogun on him. And I thought I was banned from that bar. It's one of my favorite bars near my house afterwards, because the guy was humiliated in front of all of the women. All of these women was around. So y'all already know I'm not going to, take a L when the energy is on that type of level. Everybody looking at you, especially all of these women. So it was real bad for him. So this thing was like a movie, because while he's doing whatever he's doing, while we're getting busy, it was like everything was in slow motion. And I hadn't gotten into something like that in over a decade. I hadn't fought nobody since like before college. Maybe even before college. I think it was high school or something like that. So I ended up coming back weeks later on New Year's Day. And my homeboys with me this time, and they're like, if they make us leave, they're going to leave with me if I can't, get in. So not only did they let me in when we came back, they escorted me in. It was so weird, family. They escorted me to the back, and it was near the pool table. This is big hood guy. He works security too inside. He has this grill in and everything, and he when he sees me, he runs up to me. He dapped me up like 8 times. Literally, this dude dapped me up 8 times. I'm not even exaggerating. He just keep dapping me up. I was like, all right. And he was like, yo, you the truth, man. Like, you the truth, man. We watched that video like 20 times. So these people was watching the video for entertainment. That's how low vibration these people is. But that's another story. But he was like, you didn't phase that at all when you got hit. I didn't even know I got hit, by the way. That's how much of in the zone I got into. But he said, you got warrior DNA in you. So I'm going to buy you some drinks tonight. And I didn't even feel when this guy hit me. And they're describing to me, I don't even know this. They're telling me stuff that I didn't even know that happened. But the point is, I went into another dimension. And that's exactly what time it is right now. The energy on the jacket tells you everything, what time it was. First of all, I'm Purana Vishnu. I'm the incarnation of that. And I can't be defeated. I've never lost a fight in my life. If I had to fight, I've never lost one. I mean, probably when I was a kid, fighting my brother or something like that. When it was somebody outside a family, I've never lost a fight. So the point is not to promote anything like that. And what I'm trying to say, I went into another dimension and I reached another level. I went into another level, and I had to go through that to get to another level. I didn't want to fight this dude. I was like, come on, man, I got a son. I can't be doing no stuff like this. But the point is, I had to go through the ancestors and the energies put me through that, because I had to go through that to get me to a new level. So now when I go in there, they call me, every time I go in there, they call me Holyfield, like Evander Holyfield. But I think that's esoteric as well, because it's likened to a field of holy energy. Holy field. You see, he said John Wick God mode. Yeah, it was crazy, family, crazy stuff. So that's the point I wanted to make. That, and also I had this blue on. I'm gonna speak about the blue when I get into the Israelite information. This blue has a lot to do with the energy right now. But that dragon on the back of this jacket and this 9-point star has a lot to do with Purana Vishnu and things that's happening. So that's my story I'm sharing with you guys. We'll get into some more information, more interesting stuff I got going on. So change gears a little bit. They came out 2024 and said that these cicadas is about to emerge. They said a 2024 emergence of a brand new cicada, Brood 13 and Brood 19, came together. The last time these broods seen each other was 1803, and we won't see them again until 2245. But it says a once-in-a-lifetime event, rare double brood emergence, billions of periodical cicadas expected to emerge, 2024. Now, remember back in 2021, the cicada was on Joe Biden's neck. We about to get into the Joe Biden information right now. Now, the cicadas hibernate underground, which connects us to the underspace hollow earth theories, in the tunnels and all of that. It's chthonic mythos. But the cicadas is representative. If you look at the cicadas' wings, there was an event that happened back in 2012, when they said that the world was about to end. There was a 3-letter agency propaganda called Cicada 3301. You see that 33? Y'all know what that means, masonry. They put this thing out on the internet. Go back and look it up. Matter of fact, I got the articles. Cicada 3301, a nickname given to 3 sets of puzzles posted under the name 3301 online between 2012 and 2014. The first puzzle started January 2nd, 2012, 4chan. The second, January 4th, 2013, January 4th, 2014, all the way down to April 2017. What is the puzzle about? The puzzle's Cicada 3301 is focused heavily on data security, cryptography, steganography, which Donut covers, and internet anonymity. It has been called the most elaborate and mysterious puzzle of the internet age. See that? And it is listed as one of the 5 eeriest unsolved mysteries of the internet by Washington Post, and much speculation exists in its function. Many have calculated that the puzzles are a recruitment tool for the NSA, CIA, M16, a Masonic conspiracy, or a cyber mercenary group. Others have stated that Cicada 3301 is an alternative reality game. What? Although no company or individuals has attempted to monetize it, some of the final contestants believe Cicada 3301 is a remnant of the late 1980s, 1990s cyberpunk movement. Wow. So you have this cicada. Oh, hold on. They clicked me out. Got this cicada information going on. And I'm going to break you into that. There was a movie that came out. Shout out to the guy that's on Patreon. But she was talking about this movie called Dark Web Cicada 3301. You got to go watch this movie. I was supposed to watch it last night, but I had to prepare some other notes for you guys. I'm going to go back and watch this thing. It says a true hacker story that never happened. Now, if you go back, watch The Matrix, watch these latest scientific fiction, sci-fi movies. The hacker will be the Christ of the future. Everything's moving in artificial intelligence right now, but it referenced something as a cyber group, a cyber mercenary group or something like that. Remember they spoke about a cyber attack and leave the world behind? They were talking about a cyber attack, and then they spoke of a civil war. Then they released the Civil War trailer a week or two later, based on this cyber war. Then you had Cyber Polygon with the World Economic Forum and everything connected to Project Pegasus in Israel with the Mossad and everything. So this cicada thing, they talking about cicada, the rare cicada coming out. I think they're talking about some shit with the internet. So be very, very careful. And yeah, the Christos is a hacker. The hacker, because you're here to hack this third dimensional reality and figure out how to usurp the information, put it back in the Godhead, put the energy back in the Godhead that's still inside of you, so you can get up out of the Matrix game. So you can get up out of that GTA simulation. So all of this stuff is connected, and I explain that on Patreon. You want to go back deeper. They keep taking me out. But Joe Biden, let me go back. Let me talk about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, some information. So now you had the college football championship. I promised Patreon I will talk about this. So this is for my patrons. Thank you guys for supporting me. I told them I would give them this on this video. So, and I'm gonna follow through with it. What is it? What was it? Who played it? It was Michigan and Washington Huskies. Let me break this down. It's connected to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So you had Michigan Wolverines versus the Washington Huskies in the college championship that just happened. These things are connected. So the name of the team that won is the Wolverines, and they were playing the Huskies. It's connected to the wolf. Get into this wolf symbology. It has something to do, the wolf symbology has something to do with the beginning of the Roman Holy Empires. The Romulus and Remus stories, the beginning of the Roman Empire, these twin brothers that battled each other, but when they were young, I guess they were abandoned and they had to suckle from a wolf to survive. These twin brothers. Now, the twin brothers right now is the Harbaugh brothers, but it also connects to James and Joe Biden, and I'm going to speak about it in a second, because you got one Harbaugh brother just won a national championship, and when I spoke about in my video Corvus Tenebris, the Ravens is connected to what's going to happen in the Super Bowl, Las Vegas, and the Ravens coach is one of the twins. And he's in the AFC Championship game right now. All of this stuff is connected to what's happened. So one team was purple and gold with the W as the symbol. The other was blue and yellow with the M, as above, so below. You see that? It's just flipped. In the state of Washington, it has some connections to Washington, D.C. So the game is connected to this date I want you to look into. Lupercalia. The Lupercalia Festival is very occult. Find a picture of Lupercalia, or the origins of the Roman festival Lupercalia, is very occult. And it's going to be connected to Biden's family deaths. A lot of things happened with Biden's family deaths that was very weird. He had a lot of family members die. Go get the show House of Cards and look into this character named Francis Underwood. In the TV series, Francis Underwood is the 46th president of the United States, and he dies. We're going to connect all of this. Give me a second to build up on it. Francis Underwood. Francis is the name of the Pope, Pope Francis. This guy is the 46th president in the House of Cards. He dies. He's replaced by a woman named Claire Underwood. And I'm going to give you her connections in a second. Give me a second. The slow roast build is up. This is going to be my gematria for today. I'm not going to go into too much gematria after this, but you're going to get this. So he's replaced by Claire Underwood. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that this thing is going to happen directly with Biden or whoever the next president is, or whether it's Trump or whoever. I'm just showing you how the symbolism connects. All I'm doing. So wolf in Latin is lupus, which is the symbol of Rome, is lupus. There was a TV show I broke down last year called Raised by Wolves, which is the Romulus Remus story, but they changed it and they made lupus, or the wolf, into this entity, this AI entity named Mother. Going back to the great, I told you everything gonna come right back to the great mother. And what's going on with Cicada, because the woman looked like one of them damn free martinists. You look at her body and everything. And it has the serpent, has the tree in it, Kabbalah, all of it. Everybody has to watch this show, Raised by Wolves. Go back and watch it. This is the greatest sci-fi show probably of the modern time in the last 20 years, probably. Sci-fi TV series. I ain't saying sci-fi movies. Now, in the TV series, the AI represented the wolf and was programmed to raise these human children stranded on a desolate planet. So that's talking about Generation Alpha that's coming right after us. Generation Alpha is these children being raised by AI. That's our kids and everything. So the story is about the Roman mystical twins, Romulus and Remus. Also about the feminine twins. There's these twins also in Roman history, named Amala and Kamala. Here's another Roman connection to it, but this is in India, but it's about these two girls who was raised by a wolf family. They call them the Pharaoh girls. All right, so I told you just now, the twin wolves that they're talking about is two people. It's the Harbaugh brothers, which has something to do with the Super Bowl and the college championships in football. The football is representative of the Vesica Pisces, and that's also the symbol of the mother, which I'll get into the fish symbology and the nomos in a second. John Harbaugh coaches the Ravens, who has one game from the Super Bowl. Jim Harbaugh coached the Michigan Wolverines. I know the Wolverine, the animal don't got nothing to do with it, but it has wolf in the name, who won the national championship, and they're both twins. Now, you also have James and Joe Biden. Now, the reason why I bring that up, because you got to know these people's names. Jim Harbaugh name is, his real name is James Joseph. There you go, right there. I just gave it to you. Let me explain it again if you missed it. This guy right here, he's called Jim Harbaugh. His government name is James Joseph. This guy name is Joseph. This guy name is James. That's his brother. Now, when I get into the information, I'm going to prove to you that right next to Epstein Island, James Biden owns this island called Water Island, which is 30 miles from Epstein Island, and it used to be a submarine base. So the Biden Trust owns an island right next to Epstein Island. It was a submarine base, and there's tunnels under this island that's connected to Little St. James Island. And all of this stuff, I'm telling you right now, is going to go back to what I'm speaking about today. You just wait, and I'm going to give it to you. Now, in the mythology, why did Romulus and Remus disagree? The twins set out to build a city of their own. After arriving back in the area of the 7 hills, you know, the Capitoline Hills, the whole storming of Capitol Hill with the whole QAnon, Shaman, what was his name? QAnon, Shaman, and all them people. What do you call them? The Jan Sixers was a ritual with the Vandals that invaded Capitol Hill. That really happened in history. The Vikings. But in the story of Romulus and Remus, they arrived back to the 7 hills and they disagreed about the hill upon which to build. So there's this hill or this wall that they wanted to build, and both of the brothers disagreed. Now this goes into Biden and Trump, because Trump wants to build a wall. Biden wants to let the immigrants in. All of this stuff connects to Roman mythology, because this is a recreation of Rome. You see? Somebody in the chat said they're from the Virgin Islands. What I'm saying is all facts. Okay. Biden and Trump is a mythophysics strip of the same story, because Romulus finally built a wall. Romulus, when he kills his brother, Biden, he builds a wall around Palatine Hill, the location that he chose for the founding of Rome. Remus was so bold as he jumped over Romulus' wall jestingly in a response to Remus' mockeries, and for jumping over the wall, Romulus is angered by his brother's belittlement and killed him. Ain't this what the immigrant thing is all about? You see? Now, let me get into what this thing is really about. I gave you a little bit of a backstory so you can see some connections. Every Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, which happens every 20 years, there's been an assassination attempt on each president during the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, which coincides with the US elections. The presidents have either died in office or survived an assassination attempt. Biden was elected 2021 during a Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. Now I'm gonna go through these presidents that happened. Okay, Andrew Jackson, which they say is Epstein's clone. Let me show you something. Andrew Jackson on your $20 bill. I'll get into that information in a minute. I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but don't be following this QAnon stuff though. Don't follow that crap. But Andrew Jackson, 1835, had an assassination attempt on his life during a Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. Abraham Lincoln was killed on a Saturn and Jupiter conjunction. James Garfield, William McKinley, John F. Kennedy, all presidents were killed. Well, John F. Kennedy was killed. The other two presidents are named James Garfield, William McKinley. They were injured on assassination attempts. Theodore Roosevelt, 1912, assassination attempt on his life. Ronald Reagan, 1981, assassination attempt on his life. George Bush, 2000. Do you remember someone threw a live grenade at him and the grenade didn't go off, it didn't detonate? Which the cabal set that all up, because he's part of the Skull and Bones. That happened on a Saturn and Jupiter conjunction 20 years ago. Remember I said every 20 years. Every 20 years. 3 of the assassins that attempted to take the life of these presidents begins with the name John, and the other one begins with James. Who is that? Where's the picture? The Harbaugh brothers. Also, Trump's middle name is John. Now, let me bring the Simpsons into this thing. There was an episode called Bart to the Future. Shout out to the brother. What's the brother's name? I keep forgetting people's names. It was what is his name? Truth Codes. The brother from Truth Codes. Y'all put his name in the chat. He breaks down gematria as well. But he did the episode when Lisa became president. Now, Lisa became president. Lisa Simpson, in this episode back in 2000, and she was wearing these pearls, and he broke it down. That's why they think that Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris wore the same outfit as Lisa Simpson in the episode. She wore the same outfit. Okay. The episode was on March 19, 2000. Lisa becomes president and says, "We've inherited quite the budget crunch from Trump." She says that in the episode. "We've inherited quite the budget crunch from Trump." Predictive programming. Whoever is the president out of this election will become the 47th president. It could be a woman. Could be 47. There's 47. What is it? The Euclidean equation talking about how to build a foundation. Now, Kamala Devi Harris, her full name equals 152. Female president equals 152 in gematria. February 15th, which is the day of Lupercalia, can be written 15/2 because in other nations in the eastern side of the world, they don't put the month before the day. They put the day before the month. Only in the western side, we put the month before the day. So remember I spoke about, let me exit out some of this stuff. I spoke about the show House of Cards. Here's this woman wearing purple, just like Lisa and Kamala. Claire Hale, female president equals 152. She equals 152. She became the 47th president in this show House of Cards, and she's elected with the purple attire. Her alias is called Lone Star, which is interesting. She's 56 years old in the show. The word Satan is mentioned 56 times in the Bible. Jesuit order is connected to the word 56 because light, which is the Illuminati, the Masonic word or the Illuminati word that is not allowed to be mentioned in a lodge is called light. Joe Biden equals 152, just like Kamala and female president. Kamala and her sister, Maya, which Maya means illusion, wrote a book called The Big Ideal. The big ideal equals 152, just like the Lupercalia date. Her husband, Doug Emhoff, who is the first gentleman ever in the White House. He's also a Silicon Valley lawyer. His name equals 215, just like February 15th. February 15th is going to be a big day. Somebody's going to get sacrificed. February 15th. You just watch it. His name is 215. Claire Underwood in the show is from Highland Park, Texas. Highland Park's 215. The season of House of Cards is season 5, episode 6. There's the 56. It was released on May 30th. May 30th this year leaves 215 days in a year. There's 215. Joe Biden's youngest son, Joe Biden has a son. Let me just put his name in. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. Where is it? We don't even got no picture of this guy. I think this is him. I think that's him. Or is that Hunter Biden? I don't want to mistake Hunter because I don't mean these people be looking the same way. Just put son in. I guess that's him. That is him. Okay, that's him. All right, so the show's released on May 30, or the episode was released May 30th, at least 215 days in a year. Joe Biden's youngest son, who died in 2015, that looks like 2015. He has the same name as his father. He's a junior. He died on May 30th. At least 215 days in a year. Matter of fact, let's go to gematria real quick. You type his name in. Put his name in. Joseph Robinette Biden equals 215. Get that 81 out of the way. Equals 215. Just like it left 215 days in a year. All right. The priesthood of Rome is called the Brothers of the Wolf. Joseph Robinette Biden also equals 98. Just like if I put Lupercalia in, Lupercalia equals 98. Catholic president equals 98. The Brothers of the Wolf equals 215. So the first Catholic president, JFK, was killed on 11/22. The first Catholic president, JFK, was killed on 11/22. Lupercalia happens during the Ides of February, which equals 11/22 in English extended gematria. So this is interesting, from the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, January 20th, 2021 to February 15th, this year, 2024, is exactly 1,122 days. 2/15/2024 is the 46th day of the year. Catholic equals 46. Biden's 46th president. So the two wolf teams in the college football playoffs, the W, I think, represented women and men, or maybe they're talking about them free martinist people. You know, we talked about earlier how they inject the hormone while the baby is in the womb, so the male can come out, but the female can't produce children because it's really a male. All of that stuff. We just talked about that. Go back and watch the video. Free martinists. They're talking about reversal of energy, talking about the Kybella energy. They're talking about the androgyne. They're talking about flipping the world upside down, which is called the la'afo in Hebrew. Jim Harbaugh equals 98. Jim Harbaugh just went to the Chargers. He just coached the Chargers. The Chargers got the same colors as Michigan, blue and yellow. Now, the Chargers is interesting. Let me ask a question. Has anyone been feeling extra static electricity lately? Speaking of the Chargers, I've been walking around my house. I've been getting shocked nonstop. I think there's something rising because I put that post up. A lot of people was like, yeah, man, I'm feeling that energy. Extra static electricity right now. That ain't no simple scientific explanation. People that's on that frequency. What happened? Y'all can still hear me? Make sure to put a 1 in there. Y'all can still hear me because y'all got kind of quiet just now. Okay, y'all can hear me. All right. So Phoenix, Detroit, Tom Brady, female wolf, all equals 98. All right, this is the end. Remember I talked about Kamala and Amala. What is that connection? There is a rising singer by the name of Doja Cat. And Doja Cat's real name is Amala. Now, Doja Cat is the fastest rising singer, female singer in the country right now, because all of the satanic shit she's doing. But her name is Amala, so everything connected with Kamala is connected through her, because she just came out with a video we spoke about on Patreon last video called Paint the Town Red. But in that video, she's shown eating raw meat like a wolf. So the story of Amala and Kamala is the two girls fed by wolves, and they would only eat raw meat. Doja Cat was born October 21st. Kamala was born on October 20th. Their birthdays one day apart. Her full name, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's Zulu. I don't know how to pronounce that. Don't ask me to pronounce that. But her full name, if you put it in a gematria calculator, equals 215 and 98. So you best be looking at this day. You best be looking at February 15th. Be looking at the 215th day of the year this year, and whatever the 98th day of the year is. Or it may be 98 days left in the year, something like that, or 215 days left in the year. All right. Let's get back into the esoteric information. That's my gematria for today. All right. So the book you need to get, again, is The Celestial Ship of the North. We're going to talk about this Israelite thing. We're going to go back into the Israelite thing and put some stuff and nip it in the bud. Let me exit all of this. We don't need none of this. I might need that Biden graphic for later, but I'll just bring it back up. It's called The Celestial Ship of the North by Emma Valencia Strayton. This woman had to go into hiding to put this information out. You can't even find a goddamn picture of her ass. Now, in this book, she's going to speak of how all the Israelite souls belongs to the polar region of the Thigh that's located in the northern constellation. It's the first pole region of the stars that guided the ancients and told them time. So all of you people, let me just put this on the YouTube video that keep talking about these people being the Watchers, that they're the Nephilim, all of that bull crap. We're going to prove in scholarship that the Watchers, the Nephilim, the giants are nothing but the people who was guided by the pole region, and they studied the 7 rishis in the Sirius star, and they obtained the secrets of the secret tradition, which the secrets of the secret tradition is understanding where the stars are to synchronize quantum probability to vector spaces that triggers events, phenomenon, and history. There you go. That's what that is. That's who the Nephilim is. That's who the giants is. It's the people who could look at the star, look at that polar region. They could tell you this is going to happen in about 100 years, and it's exactly what happened on these dates. So you can go ahead and put all that stuff away about the elite, some aliens, some green bug-eyed, reptilian, lizard-looking people. All of that is some bullshit grifting type stuff. And I'm glad people leave it. You should leave if you believe that. Because that type of stuff is the reason why people call stuff like this weirdos or weird. That's why they call this stuff weird. Because you the one out there putting out, yeah, reptilian. I saw them before. I saw somebody eye change or some shit. Then they're going to say they saw some actor's eye change. Motherfucker is an actor. They could have set that up like a set. I don't believe nothing on the world stage. Everything is a script. Yeah, I'm glad they're leaving. That's what I want to do. I want to make people feel uncomfortable because bump what you know. For me to get this information, I had to put aside what I know to check my ego to see what the mystery is. You think you know enough, you don't know enough. I don't know enough. A lot of people leave. We was at 200. We was at 200. We down to 180. That's good. That's good because now class is in session. We can get rid of the people. You know. So you got to keep learning. That's right. There you go. None of your business. All right. Let me read some of this to you. So it says in Deuteronomy 8:9, it is written, when the Most High is divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam and he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel, for the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. In the Septuagint, the text reads, according to the number of the angels, these were mythological Israelites, later brought down to earth as a race of human beings, and the God of the descendants of these children of Israel was Jehovah, deity of the seven star. She even explained Jehovah was a woman named Hova, was a goddess named Hova. She explained that. The tribal god of the Jews, who are worshipers of the Lord God of Sabaoth. Sabaoth is in planetary form Saturn, the individualizer, the bridging planet, connecting the material mortal side of man, which is his higher spiritual and immortal nature. Saturn regenerates through pain and suffering as he lifts the veil, revealing the great light beyond. Beyond this bridge lies the great unfolding love enveloped in the wondrous light of the world. The seven sons of the Egyptian god Ptah is the seven sons of Siddiq. Also, many others can be traced to the seven of the Great Bear, the seven stars, the seven spirits associated with the Egyptian ritual. These are behind the constellation, the Thigh, the Ursa Major, the Northern Heaven. All talking about the Northern Heaven, Ursa Major. They were appointed chiefs and were given the power over seven constellations. The Persians later gave the constellations to the planets. The 70 shepherds, princes of angels of the Kabbalah, who were said to appear on earth during the downfall of the Tower of Babel, were rulers of the 70 divisions. All 70 can be found in rabbinical writings under the name shepherds, watchers, elders, so forth. They all have common origin, celestial allegory, or the phenomena of the heavens. A rectification of astronomical grounds of the 70, the original 70 resulted in a total of 72, representing the duodecans, that's a type of star, of the solar zodiac, when the latest arrangement was based on 12 signs. Let me go down here. It says that the 72 duodecans of the solar zodiac, the 10 tribes became 12. Let me skip this excerpt. It says, when Jacob of the 10 was changed to Israel, his name, of the 12, it was said that the 70 princes were not the children of the true later God. They were not born of this image. That means they weren't a part of the first 7 pole region stars. That they're talking about stars here. So the 70 stars out there were a part of the first 7 stars. They were outside of that canopy of energy. They were not born in his image and bore no likeness to him. The old allegory, there were 70 souls, celestial bodies. They became appointed watchers and timekeepers in the heaven of the 70 divisions. So they're saying in the sky, there's a 70 division of stars in the sky in degrees that preceded the first mention. So they're saying that there's 70 stars that after the 7 pole stars fell off, which I explained earlier, they became clarified as sin, the children of sin. Because when the polar shift happened, when the stars changed their position, the priests realized, damn, we can't tell time with these 7 stars no more. We have to look at these 70 stars, and it's going to get more difficult for us to read it to figure out what time it is right now on Earth or what season we're in. You see how that is? That's allegorical. This is the secret. The first mention of the name of Israel is found in the 33rd chapter of Genesis, of course, 33, where we find Jacob elevated to the position of El, Lord. The name Israel, derived from Izarah, Asar, which is Osiris, the sun god. The Israel or Israel means striving with God. Jacob wrestled all night with the angel or opposing power at daybreak, but his thigh was put out of joint. The thigh is talking about the constellation. They ain't talking about no real thigh on your body. This was called the place of Peniel. He had seen seen God face to face. It's basically saying the face of God is in the northern constellation. That means your pineal gland is a holographic replica of the thigh constellation called Typhon. The Typhonians taught the Egyptians. As he passed over Penuel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh, the hollow of which had been touched by the angel. The place Peniel is found in the heavens at the beginning of the zodiacal sign Sagittarius. Now listen, this has to do with Underspace and everything with the video. In the constellation Scutum Sobeski, or Scutum Sobeski, you could pronounce it either way. Astrologically, this is a point which induces spiritual vision when favorably expected. Always at the beginning of the new cycle or age, spiritual light spreads more profusely over the world, and to see God face to face becomes the privilege of the attaining seer who is developed in his higher consciousness. Didn't I tell you just now you had to be on a frequency to see this stuff? The constellation Scutum Sobeski is called the coal sack, as it is the darkest place in the heavens, where shooting stars are seen in the month of November. From out of that darkness comes these creative, birth-giving elements, light out of darkness, which is the whole X thing. All right, I ain't gonna get too more deeper than that. So I just explained what all of that is. So now you can put all that Watchers, Nephilim, all that stuff away. We're about to talk about the Hollow Earth now. I have more stuff to read to you, but I just realized it's about to be 8:30, so I got to get on the road right here. All right, so the underworld in the Hollow Earth is synonymous to this thing we call underspace. Well, let me give you an introduction, because these tunnels I'm going to speak about are all connected. It says there's many rumors been spreading about underground portals. Now, everything that I just mentioned, if you go in any ancient holy place, all of them have tunnels. If you go to the Sphinx, it has a tunnel. You go to Seti I, Kamombo, Dendera, all of these places have tunnels under there, because the Egyptians were the first Ant-Men. You know, you get Ant-Man in Marvel. The Egyptians built an underground monument of a palace that reflected what was on the surface, what you were looking at. So anytime you saw a pyramid, there was another pyramid upside down. That's what this video is about, the turning upside down on the world. And it makes a diamond, really. I got a picture of that. I didn't put it in this file, but they would build these tunnels and they would bury their dead closer to the hollow earth, because they believe somewhere in the center of the earth is where the ancestors were really were. Remember, I told you that all of the energy of the cosmos, just like the hourglass, if the hourglass starts to sift the sand through the middle region, y'all know what I'm talking about. If there's no more sand up top, that means all of the energy is down here. So they wasn't looking at the stars and worshiping the stars. That was just to tell time and to know what time it was to do certain things, so they could venerate the underworld. Everything in Egyptian mythology was connected to the underworld. And the Christians come around and said all of that is hell, satanic stuff. All of that becomes satanic. So there's rumors surrounding these underground, there are portals underground We have only to remember the mystery stories that revolve around the tunnels. There's this guy or this place named Cueva de los Teos in Ecuador. Stories about entrances to underground worlds in the Andes, the Himalayas, the Gobi Desert, Turkey, and even below the Sphinx of Giza. The hollow earth theory all of these people has an expedition to understanding it. And the theory is stating that Earth is a hollow planet and the ancient entrances to the subterranean world scattered throughout it, including the polar caps. The theory has been reported since ancient times that scientists like Edmund Halley had defended it throughout history. 1818 through 1816, the American John C. Seames passionately supported the theory as well. According to him, there was a subterranean world inside of our planet illuminated by a tiny sun that includes mountains, forests, and lakes. Seames launched, or his name is Siamese or Seames, S-Y-M-M-E-S, maybe Siamese. He launched a national campaign aiming to raise the necessary funds to send an expedition to the Arctic to search for an entrance to subterranean world. He even sent a proposal, tongue twister, to the United States Congress with the intention of getting government assistance to find an entrance to the inner world. Nonetheless, the ideal of Siamese remained anchored in the minds of handful writers. Thus, Edgar Allan Poe, the guy who wrote The Raven, Jules Verne, and H.P. Lovecraft, and others, was fascinated with the theory of the hollow earth. Interest of the hollow earth did not end there. In fact, in the 20th century, with knowledge of geology of the earth, that was still lacking, there were those who continued trying to access that mysterious world under the Earth's crust. For example, some of the Nazi leaders, you know what that word means, the lovers of ancient myths and the occult in Germany, they also showed interest in these theories. Go down here. So also Cyrus T, he became convinced that mathematically it was impossible to discern whether we are outside of a sphere. So we could live inside of a hollow universe, and in the center of it would be the sun, with planets, stars only appearing bright to us because they reflect the sunlight on the surface of the concave earth. And this land was called the Koresh, the Hebrew transliteration of his name, which is the Cyrus. Well, that's all serious too. He founded a church, and his adherents remained active until 1982. With the dawn of the 20th century, new names pop up: William Reed, Marshall Gardner. They believe that they could provide evidence of the existence of an inner world. One of the most curious facts wielded as an argument made by some Arctic explorers that air and water temperatures warm as they approach the North Pole. Based on these and other observations, they claim that mammoths were not extinct, but still inhabiting the interior of the earth. As previously mentioned, there were the Nazi leaders that supported the hollow earth theory. The mustache man also believed in the hollow earth theory, but for him, it provided the location of the pure and perfect Aryans. Here you go. And he thought dominating the world would have him meet them or something like that, which is the German Thule Society, the esoteric circle of that time. Held very close hypothesis, although theirs was related to the myths of the underground kingdoms of Agartha and Shambala. Meanwhile, the first man to fly over the poles, Richard E. Byrd. Remember, I talked about the Byrd people. His last name is Byrd. In his report, he said he inspected by 26,000 kilometers around and beyond the pole that the simple sentence with the words "beyond the pole" are the foundation on which many advocates of the hollow earth theory accuse U.S. government who funded Byrd's flight to cover up, saying that Byrd went into the inner earth. But when I looked up his name, this is Richard Byrd right here. And it got him with the dog. So I think this represents the full tarot card. Got him with the dog. But if you look up his name equals 201. So there ain't no coincidence. His name equals 201. We all know what that 201, represents. Y'all know what that is. So Shambhala in myths. The myths are as old as humanity itself. So are the myths of beings that inhabit the depths of the earth. In contrast to the angels of heaven, the tradition generally sent demons underground, which is a clear example of Christian hell. In the contrast, in Central Asian Buddhistic beliefs, the wonderful land under our feet is known as Agartha. Agartha is supposed to be a place where beings are more beautiful, that they're more wiser than we are, and they have a king that has the power to read the human soul. For thousands of years, Tibetan scholars, besides teaching about the inner world, say that they are in contact with the king of the inner world, the supreme ruler of the entire planet, for whom the Dalai Lama is also representative of the outside world. They talk about Amen and Osiris. This is all they talk about. They also speak and write about tunnels that connect with Tibet to the inner world, which they protect, saying that there are many others scattered throughout the earth, such as those found under the Great Pyramids of Egypt, South America. Entrances to the subterranean cities also are said to exist around the vast Amazon basin in the lost city of El Dorado, which is the capital of the inner world. It's said to be the city called Shambala, where the king of the world resides, and his court of advanced beings teach humanity about science, art, religion, and philosophy. All right. Now, I was going to get you into the information connected to the Nomo in the inner earth, but I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna have to get and focus on these tunnels. So come to Patreon to get my Nomo lecture that I'm gonna go into. I have to talk about this Underspace information. So the basis of this lecture that means it will be an Underspace Decoded 2 on Patreon. The basis of this lecture is to convey the underlying framework to the artificial intelligence from a Gnostic introspective study. To understand the importance of how information and data formulates the foundations of consciousness, our consciousness is an existential model of creation and the definition of the language of communication with the meta program of semantic continuum, which is a dramatic process of self-knowledge and self-organization. The formation of universal imperative maxims transforms semantic patterns and archetypes of the unconscious and symbols. The decode of Underspace, whether it be the basis of computation or how a hollow earth opens up theories to mythological axioms, which is new transcendental meanings to reality, we can find the interdisciplinary approach that will substantiate consciousness on the conclusions and possibilities that defines artificial intelligence as an opening in the format of identifying the information matrix. We're talking isomorphic intelligence systems in the synergy of the development of mythology, philosophy, psychology, theory of consciousness, quantum physics, computer science, cognitive science, and mathematics. Anything that can express the lay in the equations of the machine program or the complex concept of transcendence, which is the key to sense of formation, self-organization, and creativity. The basis of all of this in artificial intelligence, computer science, is known as the definition of compression, which applies to the matrix. Also to Earth, who is Gaia. Gaia has the word AI dead in the center of that because that word is mentioning the hollow structures within the Earth. Compression is fundamentally the first process in alchemy. So it has to be a hollow Earth just off the compression. The fundamental process, first process in alchemy is compression. But in computer programming, compression gives us the ideal that all information is there, but you're squeezing it into a single box. That isn't exactly accurate. Compression is much more advanced. There's a book you need to get named The Technology of Belief by James True. James True, The Technology of Belief. In that book, he's describing the concept of Underspace is based in esoteric occult philosophy on consciousness as well as computational data and computer engineering. Now, you all know what a JPEG file is. It's an image file. A JPEG has something called a lossless compression. And the opposite of that is called a lossless compression. A lossless compression, believe it or not, is the heart of all magic. It's the ideal that we can eliminate information that was there and recreate it without it actually being there. This is what the Kabbalist is doing. This is what Kabbalah can do. I'm getting into it, and I'm gonna take you straight to what it is. To be able to reverse engineer the process, so they're reverse engineering the process of what the ancients looked at, and reproduce a large amount of information, like it's likened to synthesis. Paragraphs is a body, and synthesis are its limbs. If we extracted synthesis from a paragraph that can reappear out of the latent space, an important part of the video, understanding the metaphysics of underspace, is the computer networking term called latency. Latency is an expression of how much time it takes for a data packet to travel from one designated point to another. From a occult perspective, this is the oldest mystical tradition on the planet. The Enochian pool of darkness, Cthulhu, and the summoning of the depths of Rayleigh, the shield of the Hebraic cosmology we're going to talk about, the heart of the abyss, where all of our magic comes from in sub-quantum mechanics. Latent space is the digitization of that process through a compression course. Compression would be, in my opinion, the most simplest form of artificial intelligence supplied in an artistic way, because AI replicates the intricacies of orthogonal polynomial scaling. It can recreate anything through compression, and it recreates it at 85% of its bytes. These bytes were not there before, but then it suddenly appears. This is how nature, ecosystems, erosion, all the way down to DNA replicates. It can also change at a rate that we can't follow. The problems we had with storage in the past allowed our instincts to magically create systems for this compression. Short-term memory works the same way. Our brain has a very limited desktop space to pull up memories. Most of the memories that we recall are forms of hallucinations that we were decompressing from the underspace to recreate at a whim, just as AI and Gaia does to keep up with in sync and universal currents of the universe. The neurons in our brain is recording things. I guess we can call it engrams, these recordings, to obtain neurological information of an event. And the hippocampus in our brain is able to turn, flash whatever we're recording, then pull it into the phonological loop in a very, very tiny space to work in. From that tiny space, it creates an entire universe. The physics of Elitism is what I'm describing. That basis is reality engineering from an individual soul journey. So it comes out of a cloud-like in storage devices, a cloud device. That cloud is representative of this latency, this latent space. Latent space is the underspace in mythologies, which becomes the sector, or it becomes the sector in the spiritual realms the ancestors called the underworld. Software engineers reverse that process through compression, meaning that if they ever wanted to store every image of the human mind that has collected in this physical plane's entire existence, if they could store it on this supercomputer, an engineer, which we can call a magician esoterically, would accept the challenge, compress all of the images, which would be likened to an analogy to demonic entities. All of these images to a computer engineer, the images would be demonic entities, all in a singular space being compressed, that we can liken to Solomon's signet ring, because Solomon was trapping demons in the signet ring to control them. Then they would be, and this is describing what they're doing with AI, then they would be able to reproduce the images whenever they want, however they want. That's magic in a nutshell. I just explained magic in a nutshell. So in the process of compressing, all of these images become an algorithm that is discovered. It wasn't created. It became reverse engineered in the process, and the magi, or the magician or engineer, compresses images from big to small, big to small. And if you do that 1.5 million, 3 billion times, you will begin to figure out that it has a pattern to process and start to see concepts that will always in 3 pixelations in a row, always have 3 pixelations in a row. And that's probably going to materialize and be a corner or a face. This is the very beginning of the gnosis process in the AI's recognition to a face of a person or the corners of a building. What I'm describing to you is how we are witnessing this technology explode before our eyes currently. Intelligence grows out the ideal of latent underspace of compression. So the Big Bang compressed and gave us this type of gnosis to this algorithm, and then the algorithm itself learns to decompress things. This plays into the concept of the underworld, the hollow earth, shield, or relay, the reduction of something dimensionally to an elementary space. The Magi would then call this part of the process latent noise. Inside of latent noise, you're turning the image into jello, a flexible, permeable mutation that can become any other image out of that memory file of human existence's memories. That means the entirety of every artistic expression ever made can be reduced into a quantum equation of probability. And that's what we call beauty and art. Beauty and art are nothing but latent noise from the underspace broken down into vectors of probability computed within latency subquantum fields that is drawn from. So the exposure, simply being exposed to the process, is where the true magic envelops in occult esoteric thought. Let's put this into simpler terms for the layman. The reason why a person can become a good artist is because they expose themselves to the right information over a lifetime, just like what we're doing with these videos. And they've accumulated from these experiences the ability to draw from the latency space and reproduce the Mona Lisa that's not exact, but nonetheless, it captivates an attraction of it in a different way. So the word art descends from the onomatology of the goddess Urt. The goddess Urt represents the androgyne principle. We're going to the androgyne information. Masculine and feminine poles of creative power in the universe. That's in the book Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. The Anupadaka is the Sanskrit word for the parentless self-creating power that's at the center of alchemy and magic. Shaping the form of what's projected out of the latency, the underspace, is the daemon, or the intelligence, which only has a few choices to express themselves. That's what AI, you only give it a few choices. And the choices is what you want the daemon to exactly do. The demon or the daemon is nothing but an algorithmic quantum probability or hell in a pit that represents what the latent space or the underspace is of compressibility. So the demon or daemon is nothing but an algorithmic quantum probability. That's what a demon and a daemon is. And hell in the pit is the latent underspace of compressibility. That's what I'm going to say. So within astrophysics, there's a principle called hydrostatic equilibrium. Essentially, there's a balance between gravity and pressure. Gravity pushes all the mass of a planetary or star body inward toward a single point, while the substance of the body resists compression. It builds up pressure, pushing outward away from the center of gravity. And when these two forces are equal, there's something that's called equilibrium. If the body is not in equilibrium, it will either expand or contract depending on whether the force is exerted by gravity or the pressure is greater. Okay, let me just explain what I'm saying, getting all these words. The only way the hollow earth would exist would be a weightless drift towards the center of gravity, possibly floating continents, it could be floating, contributing to a world shield that replaces gravitational force that affects the portal to the plane of fire, which is our sun, with another antimatter sun in the center of our Earth. The antimatter would generate anti-gravity, counteracting the gravity generated by the mass of the Earth itself. And this antimatter sun in the center of the hollow Earth is the heart of Earth. The floating continents inside could be equated to different organs, and they are held aloft in their orbits throughout through these unknown forces which the world shields of these atmosphere controls. Hyperactivity in underspace is a term we may use to describe it. The kernel is from the antimatter sun, the black sun. It will increase its antimatter, causing the forces of anti-gravity to overcome the gravity of accreted mass, thus causing the matter to be ejected into space away from a polar opening. At this point, the central area will use the last of its energy to stabilize its orbit around what would be a stable star in our Earth, and they become dormant. When the polar opening becomes dormant, the heart cools down to a point that the gravitic energies generates to practically zero. And while dormant, the central area will not act in any way, though it may be awakened by drastic changes in its environment from above, such as disruptions, or its orbit could significantly impact on its shell. After lying dormant for a period of time, its energy reserves will be replenished, the heart will become active, and again, hyperactivity of the underspace may repeat the cycle. This is an arcane space that acts of an independent spelljammer gravity. So independent spelljammer gravity explains how this process is, and it works off bodily attractions separate from accelerated bases upon a distance of space. So that's the physics of how a hollow earth could be possible. All right, we just explained it. Now, the Lahafo. Let's get into it. We've been covering this thing. So the tunnels, the concept of the hollow earth is what the Juden Hoots is planning right now. Now, first I want to also, let me put pay some bills real quick. I have a lecture in Columbia, South Carolina, February 9th at the Sphinx Paul Herbal Shop on 2 Notch Road, 3400 2 Notch Road. Name of the lecture is Gathering of the Gods, the New Earth Decoded. I'm going to go deeper into this information, and you will be the first to hear it. There will be a recording of it. We're going to record it. And I'm also bringing another brother to break down some stuff with indigenous law to help you get out certain circumstances. You need to have that knowledge just in case you do get into some circumstances. So you guys can look forward to that information coming from that lecture. Is coming out real soon next month, right? Super Bowl weekend. Now I'm gonna cover some stuff real quickly. So we had this whole thing with the Shabbat 770, where they discovered some JWSs on the ground, and they had to cover up these spaces because they didn't know what was going on. They were like, what is going on down here? What the H is going on? So this came out a couple of days after I started talking about the tunnels on Patreon. I didn't start with this. This came out days after, and y'all can confirm that in the chat. So they found these tunnels, and it was connecting to everything that I was saying. Basically, the tunnels are everywhere. They're not just in America. We have these tunnels all over the world, especially near ancient sites, because in America, the underworld is called Shambala. In the deity, the Osiris or Sar of America is called Mictlantecuhtli, Tezcatlipoca. One of the four Tezcatlipoca's, Mictlantecuhtli is supposed to be the twin enemy to Tezcatlipoca, the black sun. So it goes deeper into the black sun, the antimatter sun, and what can sustain the hollow earth. But the ancients believe that the ancestors were closer to this black sun, than out there in the cosmos. So they revered the underworld, and they built these pyramids over here in South America and America to resemble the 13 model cycle of the year, separate from this 12-month cycle that we're on based upon, you know, the Gregorian calendar. They believe it was 13 months, and every day was something called a portal day. That's in all of the indigenous information going back to the Algonquins, and they based it off underworld information, underworld esoteric lore. So the police ran up in this Shabbat and found these people underground, and it was right next to a children's museum, which we have that. So they want to try to say that I'm lying about that. Let me give you the coordinates of that before I start to get into the esotericism. So here is where it happened at, and here is the children's museum. This is the headquarters right here. You see that? So the underground tunnels lead right through here. They say there's an X right here. You see this X connects to the year that, the year of the X and everything. Okay. All right, so now I can explain this stuff. So to cover up the tunnels with cement, they brought out this cement truck that has the same black and white symbolism that they use in hypnotism and mind control. So while they're pouring the cement, is a symbol of hypnotism and mind control. You see that? So they cover up these tunnels and they're trying to figure out what was actually going on down there. Now, all of this connects to Jeffrey Epstein and it connects to Ghislaine Maxwell, because Jeffrey Epstein's temple is a Talmudic flat earth model of the underworld. We broke down how the golden dome represents the firmament, and the 7 blue stripes connects to what the color blue is the Teklet blue on the Israelite flag. And the color blue is connected to the goddess Lilith, which Lilith is another form. She's the lower form of the Shekinah, which is the original Holy Spirit. Shekinah is the blue cloth that the Ereats, the priest of the Judahites, covered the Ark of the Covenant with, which is supposed to be where the pineal gland and consciousness is projecting itself from. The blue is the first color that you enter on the Kabbalah. It's called Chokmah. Chokmah generates blue from this white cosmic prismatic light from the higher dimensions. And the first spectrum that it enters in the 7 spectrums of colors in the rainbow, it has to come through blue first. Now, remember the Hawaiian fires, all of those people were putting blue on their rooftops to protect themselves from the directed energy weapons. The blue in terahertz is 666 terahertz. That's the 666 number again. So, you know, they love that number. And it connects to the mythology of the Judahites and the Black Brotherhood of the Zionists. Now, there's a lot of information I left out, but I'm going to try to help you understand this because we're a little bit pressed for time. So, the tunnels found in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, Shabbat 770, is correlated to Kabbalah, mysticism, or Talmudology. The mysteries of the Third Temple of Jerusalem lies in the color physics and the connections to the Israel flag. The blue stripes on Epstein's temple, on Little St. James Island, the Shabbat's blue crown on their flag. They got a crown on their flag. In the Talmud, the resurrection of the Messiah happens through the destruction of the Gentile nations. They got to kill all of the nations that aren't a part of Israel from the mythology of the Talmud, that the Gentile nations will be struck down if they don't believe, if they aren't made believers, and that they're verbatimly stating that have to be struck down. So those who do not believe in the Mishnah have no share in the Olam Haba, the world to come. Among these ideals associated with that is the belief that ideals during the Messianic age were commonly expressed that the dead will be brought back to life in Israel. According to Talmudology, all bodies not already in Israel have to be rolled through underground tunnels to a holy land. So we're speaking out direct text from the Talmud now. The Hebrew Mishnah means the teaching of law by repetition. That means that they repetitively are telling us the end game with their Hollywood actors, political parties commencing the lahafot. A word that you must understand, it means the turning upside down of the world is what the picture of the thumbnail represents, which we talked about. The upside down, also in Stranger Things, is a black magic metaphor. The tree of knowledge biblically in the Kabbalah is the opposite spectrum of glyphs called the tunnels of Set. To turn the world upside down, they must reverse the placements of the trees and invert reality in its entirety. So the surface world will become hell, and the underground hollow earth will become the sanctuary for a new living space. That's a big, there you go right there. That's a big highlight. The surface world will become hell, and the underground hollow earth will become a sanctuary for a new living space. Just as you close your eyes in bed, in rapid eye movement, your eyes roll backwards in your head, which flips then the electrical activity internally to the brainwave activity. And the Zionist Kabbalists want to similarly reverse reality to a darker realm. So the tree of life, of course, it consists of 10 diagramical glyphs of sephirotes, these spheres that you see here, that shows us the formalities from a physics sense of how the spiritual realm bestows psychoenergetic transmissions to a physical existence. Malkut is at the bottom of the tree that represents the physical world. Keter is the top. Spire called the crown. The pluralities of the source, i.e. where the energy of the Godhead transmits, comes from the divine rays of the Godhead. Keter is the crown, Father, and wisdom. It's the first triad, the Holy Trinity in the Christ myth. Throughout ancient cultures, we see certain crowns resembling pine cones, cymatic measurements of hertz, because it's speaking about tunnel spirals and geometry. Metaphysically, the tunnel or portal is inside of the quantum dot of the pineal gland. So the real tunnel is inside of us. So I'm going to just go ahead and put that on the video. The real tunnel is in us. The actual tunnel is in us. The tunnel spiral is geometrical to what you go through. Remember I showed you a lattice cobweb tunnel spiral? If you learn how to focus your concentration and meditation and recreate this in your mind, you learn how to escape reincarnation, actually. It's all physics in angles. Lattice cobweb tunnel spiral. This is what these people were studying. And we covered this like last year. All right, that's a real tunnel. So now you got the information on the real tunnels. So now this ain't no damn theory. This is what's going on. Y'all be taking things theory. This is what's going on. Well, you can take it as a theory you want to. I ain't gonna judge you, but this ain't no damn theory. They told you in the Talmud what it was. So there is no coincidence that the name of the area in Brooklyn is called Crown Heights, because it's all Kabbalah, talking about the crown, Keter. The world is caught up in a Kabbalistic ritual. That's why we call the satanic brass the Cabal. These etymologies have deep meanings dealing with the Talmud. What do the tunnels represent? How deep does the rabbit hole? Epstein, who is a JWS, he seems to be an important character, representative of the holographic reality and of what's really happened. Now, understand, I'm not saying that Epstein is representative of those people. I'm saying that was his original, faith and genealogy. But Epstein is an important character representing the holographic reality and what's really happening to the world behind the scenes. He's nothing but a figurehead to the real demons moving pieces on the chessboard to commence the lahafot. We have evidence that his family may even have rabbinical roots to a substituted bloodline of the Davidic traditions. Notice I said substitute because we all know that most of these people is a mimicry of what the real source is, the synagogues of Satan, if you understand what I'm saying. So I want to show you how the Kabbalah applies the tree of life and how the Qliphoth applies. The Zionist Kabbalistic warlocks are basing their pedo child trafficking hives around a Talmudic underground map of tunnels on different ley lines and dragon paths responding to the Earth's opposite polarity of the Kundalini spin network of portal locations worldwide. They kidnap, sex traffic women, and they were made into surrogate Liliths, vessels of the Shekinah, the feminine half of God of the Kabbalah. Because what these people are trying to do, they're trying to make Samael energetically, they're trying to have him mate, or that side of the Godhead mate with the Shekinah. Oh, this is going to the blue. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this. Yeah, let me put this up here. I gotta get into the blue in a second. So they're trying to make the Shekinah mate with Samael, and they're trying to make Lilith mate with Yahweh. Goes back into this free Martinism. See? So this blue on the flag, I have to get deep into this blue. It says one of the major themes Kabbalistic symbolism is the last gradation, Malkut, the mystical personification of the people of Israel, and her biography symbolizes their history. Malkut or Malkut is not only represents but also protects the Israelites from possible harm of the surrounding non-JWS, Gershom Schrolem's book. According to the myth of the Teklet cloth, remember I spoke about the Teklet is a blue that they get from this Helazon, this snail out there in the Euphrates. It's this snail, and basically this snail is a rare snail called the Cumulus. I can't remember the exact name, but it's like the trunculus. I don't even know. But anyways, this snail is what the Cthulhu head is based on in H.P. Lovecraft, because his wife was a Jewish woman named Sonia Green, and she gave him apocalyptic Judaism and taught him how this Teklet blue was extracted from this snail's blood. So they will boil this snail, and once the snail is boiled, his blood will cause a alchemical purple, which had a very, very foul smell. It was so foul that if it got on your clothes, people can smell you from like almost a mile. And they put in the laws in Israel that you can divorce a person just based on them having the smell. But all the poor people worked in the factories produced this blue. So how they made the blue is that the purple that came up from the snail blood, they used to hold the purple up to the sun. The sun is representative of God, and there was an alchemical process when the rays of the sun strike the purple, it turned it blue, which blue is representative of the throne of God, the firmament, which the two lines on Israel flag represents Euphrates and the Nile, but it also represents the waters above the firmament and the waters below the abyss. And this represents the masculine half of the Godhead and the feminine half of the Godhead. I get into that as well. But the sky is representative as the throne of God. The blue represents the throne of God, and only the elites, the priests of the Israelites, could wear this blue, or the royalty could wear this blue. This is where you get the word royal blue and royal purple, because the Edomites attacked these factories that was producing this blue back in history, and then they stole the secret from the Israelites, but they didn't have the secret of how to turn it blue. They didn't know sunlight turned the purple blue, so they just started working purple robes. All of their royalty wore purple robes, and later the Romans put on the same purple. That's the Edomites. So that's the myth of the teklet color. The teklet is that blue, and it says the teklet cloth of Malkut against the evil gaze of the evil forces was also applied on a national level. That is, the covering of the JWS, particularly by blue objects, serves as a protection for what is believed to be danger from the nations of the basically the Gentiles, who are sometimes considered in Kabbalistic texts as earthly manifestations of evil forces. This covering resembles the metaphor of being under the wings of Shekinah, the divine presence. But also this blue is also, there's an evil side of it where they're using this blue because there's law of polarity. Not only can it be for protection, it can be used as a weapon. And the blue is basically a weapon to destroy the Gentiles. It represents the destruction of the Gentile nations. Now, Jeffrey Epstein owned Zardaro Ranch out in New Mexico, which was 3 hours, 6 minutes. Funny because 666 is the 36th triangular number from Dulce base, which had all of those extraterrestrials. And Dulce is famous for being an underground base. Zardaro Ranch Road is here, and there's a Epstein survivor, a woman that's been speaking the last couple of weeks. Her name is Juliet Bryant, and we have evidence. She is really one of these people that was there. Here's some of the evidence right here. Her name is on, some of this stuff. But she was a model, and she was captured, and she was saying that she woke up underground, and she thinks that they were in her mind messing with her. Because the first thing that she did when she woke up is put this butterfly, this blue butterfly, let me see if I got a picture of it, on her journal. And then we figure out the butterfly. Well, let me just go to my other file here. The butterfly is also representative of the tree of life and the tree of death. Here's the butterfly. The butterfly represents Lilith and the Shekinah, and it represents tree of life and the tree of death, and it also represents mind control. We know Project Monarch, all of these things. But the blue serves as a weapon of quantum chromodynamics to put the whammy on all of the Gentile nations. Let me explain that. Let me explain. I can't get into the 7 underworlds. There's 7 underworlds that we broke down on Patreon. Y'all look into Patreon. That's what the 7 colors on Epstein Temple represents. So the Zionist elders want to obtain the powers of the Kenoma, the void, the primordial waters of chaos, which the blue represents. There's ritual magic through occult obscene rites of maniacal orgies, sodomic gateways, interferon extractions from children. Interferon is more easily available than anything with the A and C word. Some of y'all know what that is, the whole frazzle thing. But it's basically a chemical formula that has these structured formulas that resembles atomic bonds in the white rabbit formula. I'm not going to say that word on here. But the East Indians called interferon pure sama, a immortal tincture that they get from kids, basically. And that's what that really is. It's not really the other word, but I explained that. Yeah, it's connected to the Blue Lotus too. So the Kabbalists rule the third dimensional reality through their color, blue. In the blue, like I said, when you practice Kabbalah, the first thing they teach you is to imagine when you're speaking a letter, you have to imagine the letter in its true color essence at the same time while you're pronouncing it with a certain vibration of light in the mental world, in the mental sphere. This begets color magic, and they've been using it for a long time. This is how they put spells and all that stuff on people. So the letter A or Aleph corresponds to blue, and you're supposed to imagine the spindling orb of blue light inside of your spirit that fills your thought, your body, even your vision, consumes your whole body in vibration. and you focus on that color, and that's how you use the magic. So the blue, like I said, it comes from Hokmah. When the white light comes down from the divine cosmic aeons, it passes through Hokmah, then it splits and differentiates into the colors we know as the rainbow. It represents the unity of the Godhead before it is differentiated. This blue has always been a talismanic magical color. It also represents a symbol to ward off the evil eye, but by flashing the blue at the world, they're trying to ward off evil from the Goyim, Gentile nations. Hold on. The blue butterfly is a connotation to the female aspect of Satan called Lilith, called labia majora and labia minora. The butterfly has always been a symbol of a certain sweetness, which means the V word esoterically. Y'all know what that is, pum pum, out of which the child is born. In the Kabbalistic understanding of the butterfly, in order for it to fly, it has to have two wings representing duality, polarity, male, female. Y'all know that. And also the two trees of the Kabbalah. The tree of life has sephirotes. The tree of death has shells. The bottom of the tree of life is Malkut, which becomes Lilith on the backside of the tree, whose higher form is Shekinah, which to the highest level of the Kabbalist, Shekinah is the divine form of Lilith, but they're one and the same. So they're trying to meet Lilith in Shekinah. I'll try to get down. I can't get all this. I got to get to what it means. All right. So in the end times, the flat earth model that I showed you earlier is connected to, they also love models with blue eyes. That's who Epstein collected all over the world. The flat earth psyop, there's a satanic side of the flat earth. The models contain a design of the earth below the world, the hollow earth, and the evil part is considered the best part to the Kabbalists. At the end of times, all of this is supposed to be reversed. What they're going to do, they're going to black out the sun to be perpetual light. They showed that in the Matrix movie. By the way, in the Matrix movie, they also showed you tunnels, and they showed you a group of people living inside of the earth. In the Matrix, the people living in the earth was called Zion, right? Y'all remember this? So they said we will be living inside of the earth. And Morpheus, the god of dreams, was the leader, later becomes Neo. So they got to black out the sun. In the Matrix, they blacked out the sun, where the God of Israel, Set Typhon, will rule forever. Also, they said the God of Israel is in a dark cloud in Talmud. But a good replica of how you can envision this is how a CD-ROM, which is compared to the flat earth, there's a hole in the middle of the CD-ROM, which represents how the light traverses down below the earth, where the black sun, the antimatter sun, sends its rays upwards. The northern star, or the northern hole, connects to the black sun beneath the earth, and the sun in the moon, the sun in moon evolves inside of the firmament on different planes. So they believe that the sun and moon is inside of the earth, which I don't know about all that, but it could be within some ranges of the firmament. But every point of the six-pointed star connects to the Sitra Hatra, which is the caliphatic tree of death, which is refractions of the shards of light called the Sitra Yamina. So the blue has its connections to the primordial waters below the abyss and above the firmament. In the water, fishes never close their eyes. So the fish is supposed to represent the evil eye. So the Shekinah, the blue, the goddess of the Kabbalah, or of all of this religious stuff, she clothes herself with the blue, and she clothes her children of Israel in the blue. And it's supposed to protect the people from the evil eye. So the whole thing is what they're trying to do is draw the power of the primordial waters of chaos through this flag, through the blue. Now, the color blue has a dual nature, like I said. Epstein was entrapping people through Mossad blackmail schemes of luring all of these people and using them for political favors by turning the sex trafficked women into forms of Lilith. Then the transhumanism thing has a connection because he was trying to replenish the earth by using the women's eggs. So they were stealing eggs from this women. This goes into the Samael Lilith whole mythology. And they were trying to grow transhuman bodies for the elites using these women's eggs so they can have another body to transfer consciousness to. And I don't know, they're using these demon forms of transhumanist bodies to go underground, or are they putting them out here with us? Who knows? But the blue is supposed to keep everything secret of what they're doing. It keeps the Gentiles from looking into the temple and seeing what is inside of it. What is inside of it? They say in the temple is the head of a golden ass. The head of the ass symbolizes Set Typhon, which means that they're worshiping the god of darkness, Yaldabaoth in the Gnostic text. They wanted to keep that carefully guarded, and this person named Antiochus of Epiphanes entered the temple, and that golden head of the ass they were worshiping was revealed. Then Epstein and these people was applying the same magic, keeping themselves from being discovered. He draped his temple with the 7 blue stripes and put it specifically in the Teklet blue. So they make use of this blue to have both the left-hand side of the gods and the right-hand side of the gods working as one against everyone to destroy everyone. They're using the magical powers of this color to attack the world on their flag and on his temple. So they want to rebuild the temple and install the bed chamber to commence the unification of the androgyne head that I talked about in the beginning of the video. Kybella is representative of the Shekinah and Lilith in Israelite cosmology, the primordial waters above the firmament and below the abyss. And they're trying to keep the male aspect of the devil from having sex with its female side. And they want the male aspect of God from having sex with Lilith. This rebuilds the temple, combines the Godhead into one entity, which is talking about that free martinism. And the one is actually 4 because there's 4 aspects to the conscious fields. So at the same time of doing this, there is an encouragement for Jewish men to make love with their wives during this. Yahweh and Yaldabaoth may return to the Shekinah, but it cannot happen until the 3rd temple of Solomon is rebuilt. Some believe the 3rd temple is the digital metaverse realms of AI. I don't know. That's a theory. But this then plays into why there is an increase of the Tyransality on the Gentile nations. Metaphysically, they are seeking to make the androgyne conscious fields only in God's chosen people, which will restore the gods in their androgynous aspects. On the holiday Shem Kippur, they give a scapegoat to Samael to confuse him and divert his interests away from the Shekinah. So the male side of God is distracted from the female half. The male side of the devil is distracted from the female half of God. And the other reason they do this, they give him a scapegoat. This is the meaning of the word scapegoat, is to forsake the Gentiles and burden them with his sins from Israel. So basically, by giving Samael a scapegoat, Samael represents the Gebra or Jebra on the Kabbalah, is one of the spears on the left side. If I pull that picture up. But Jebra represents the punishment of God when someone sins. So basically, by giving Samael the scapegoat, Samael is confused, and he said that he's going to, basically, the text says that Samael will punish the Gentile nations for what the Israelites do. So all of the sins of the Israelites is then transferred over to the Gentile nations through the scapegoat given to Samael or Shem Kippur. And basically, that's what they're using the blue to transfer everything they do wrong in the world. And God will look at it as upon we're doing it wrong. And they will move into the Shezet sphere on the Kabbalah. And they will receive mercy from the Lord. But they're trying to go underground pretty much. And underground, they're looking for something called shining darkness, which is the rays from the black sun. They think if they stay underground for 100 to 1,000 years and they build this underground civilization, that they will acquire some type of androgyne merge with the Godhead of the Klepoth underground. And by the time they come back to the surface world, which I believe they're trying to do, they're trying to do a nuclear event, which it looks like if you look at all of these TV shows, I think, go back and they just announced that the Book of Eli is about to come back out. And I spoke about that on Patreon, and they're getting John Boyega, the guy from They Clone Tyrone. So they're getting the clone to play the younger version of Denzel. But remember, it was like a nuclear war destroyed the world. So all of this World War III thing is about some type of nuclear war, which they're trying to do to Lahafo, flip the world upside down, change the surface world of the world into hell. So the surface world will become a fiery pit from the nuclear, chemical warfare and explosions and stuff. And then they go underground, and that's going to become the new sanctuary where they stay down there for 100,000 years until the nuclear debris clear away. And when they come back from being underground for that long of time, they believe that they will become the androgyne angels, the Nephilim reborn or something, when they come back to the surface world, and they will inherit the earth as the New Jerusalem. All right, so that's my lecture. I'm going to put a link in the group, so if you have any questions, I'm going to invite you up, and we will conclude after we get the questions out the way. Hope the information got through. I know that was a long, long video, but you got to do these things. We got to do these things. They said they're getting Denzel clone the play. Now that's hilarious. That's hilarious right there. Because everybody says he looks like he does look like him. All right, family. I just posted a link. If y'all have any questions for me, y'all can come up on the StreamYard. I'll let you come on and ask any questions. And then we'll conclude after that. Yeah, Book of Eli about a blind man. Got these blades. Start cutting people up and stuff. And basically he knows the Bible by heart because he can't, I think, is he, yeah, he can't see. So at the end of the movie, he reads Braille or he makes a Braille Bible, and they're able to copy his Braille and rewrite the Bible and give it to the world, and he dies or something. So sacrificing the melanated man, always doing that. I could get into some hyperlucidity. I could, but we've been on for a long. We got this too. There's a lot of information to absorb. That was a whole lot of information to absorb. So I can save the hyperlucidity for Patreon. We'll talk about what happened this week. Appreciate that, Garrett. Great head. Appreciate that. Let me see. Did anybody come in for questions? Okay, we got Brian. Let me let Brian on. All right, brother, I got you on. Can you hear me?
You hear me?
Yes, I can.
Man. You hear me?
Going in and out a little bit. Say something?
No, you hear me? Peace, God. Check 1, 2.
You said what now?
No, you hear me though, right? Check 1,
Yeah,
2.
I can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
Peace, family. Peace, God. I wanted to go back to, because I thought of something when I heard of it. Going to the, you said Martin? Did you say Martin?
Yeah, free Martinism. Yeah.
Pre-Martinism. And that drove me back to those times when I was a little child, to someone that looked, to me, he looked underdeveloped and unsure of himself. And that came to the comedian Martin Short, Jewish comedian. But it was just like, just my whole feeling was like looking at this person, like he's unsure of himself. You know what I mean? That he didn't know which way to go. You know what I'm saying? But it just hit me.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
It just hit me in the mental core. Like, wow, okay, pre-Martinism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, word. No, I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate that. That's an excellent example. We got it on the screen right now. So that's the example of it right there, family. That's the example of it. Yeah, I'm gonna start seeing more. Like I said, that ain't the last one. You're gonna start seeing a whole lot once you start going through it.
Word. Oh, and another thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sidebar. I think this was a refill day for some reason. Like everyone was taking their 4th, 5th, or maybe 8th shots today, because the shedding was going crazy. The smell of the shedding was crazy. Like where I live.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone had that extra charge, but they look, well, they don't know it, but they look at me like, oh, you know what I mean? But what I smell is different. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like it was a refill day.
Wow.
No, as far as them, getting the 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th shot, like it was today because everyone was doing it.
Be careful with them words now. We ain't on Patreon.
Right. The gin and tonic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We got you. We understand.
Yeah, it was drinking gin and tonic in my neighborhood.
Right. It's going on all over the world. By the way, Darren Walker, the name of that book is The Technology of Belief by James True. Technology of Belief. He also has a book called The Ark of the Baphomet, where he covers that history and breaks into that esoteric lore. Then he got a new book that's about to come out. But the whole jab thing I was talking about, the movie When Fools Rush In. Y'all need to get this movie. I talked about it on the last Patreon video. Got your boy Matthew Perry, that the Leave the World Behind movie was based around that whole ritual. He's in this movie with Salma Hayek, and it's talking about the people who rushed, who got the jab. The whole movie is about that, because in the beginning of the movie, he's holding this marlin. He's holding this marlin. Let me see if they'll let me find it, the actual picture of it. But in like the first scene, he's holding this fish. Y'all know what a marlin is. Let me show you what a marlin looks like. He's holding this marlin in his hand, and you see how the marlin's body is shaped. It looks like what gives you the jab. I'm not going to say the word, but it looks like what gives you the jab. And the water connection in it is referencing, they're saying the C word. There's research now that it limits the body to absorb water as nutrients, back into what the nutrients needs to go to in the body, basically. So go back and watch that movie. It was a whole thing about Elvis, connected to Elvis, because Elvis was the first celebrity who got the jab on television. You remember that? Elvis was the only celebrity who got the jab on television. I think it was for polio, though. So the whole movie is encoding. Go back and get it. When fools rush in. Do we have any other questions? Anybody need to chime in, or we can leave it at that? We went in today. Okay, I see my brother Donut. Let me add my brother up in here. What's going on, Donut?
Wow, what a great presentation, Ani. Thank you.
I appreciate you, brother. How are you, man?
Very good. You were bringing up the free martinism, which I never heard of, and I thought that was interesting with the cows.
Yes, with the cows.
And right before you started talking about it, you were bringing up that symbol. Okay, so you're connecting it to the martinism secret society too.
Yes,
I
there's a lot.
gotcha.
Yes, it's Freemason, free is a lot of things connected with it, but it says it's a Kabbalah secret, and I was connecting it to that goddess Kybella, because Kybella is the first Tehran goddess, but her name, if you look at the onomatology, her name is where Kabbalah comes from. I just proved that in one of those books just now. I gave the page of the book.
Yes. And then you get different words, Sibels, and then Cybella, Kybella, Kabbalah. That's where it's coming from. Yeah.
It also she represents Black Cube too. She represents the Kaaba cube. She represents all of that. The thing in the center of the world. So there's a lot of symbology reference to her.
Yes. And like the hexagon, I always look at the hexagon on the star because it is the top of the North Pole of Saturn. And I really thought that was interesting with where you put your head down, where you sleep.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah. And I don't put my head north, so I'm happy about that. But it seems like putting it south is the best from what you were saying. But I don't go south, but I go another direction laying down. So I downloaded this compass. I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna start sleeping south to see. It's interesting though because feng shui. I'm not sure if you're into that at all.
Absolutely. I got a story about something with feng shui in China, but continue.
Oh, so I wonder if the feng shui, how the bed is not supposed to be facing the door, I believe.
Yeah, I do remember that. I've heard that before.
Something like that. So all like my bed in either room, it's kind of hard to set up because it will face the door. So I got to figure out how to, I'm gonna try. And also another thing with that W I see in the middle, because you were bringing up the letter Shin.
Yes.
And it looks like I could just see the W right there on that logo, that free martinism logo right in the middle.
Yes. And there's also the trident as well. Oh, I see it right there, that W right there.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how, with Michigan and Washington having the W, I found a spell book, an ancient grimoire in history that had a symbol on it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the McDonald's. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, and it's going viral on TikTok, but yeah, it's like this symbol has some type of evil connected with it.
Well, it's very deep because I'm me. I grew up going to Hebrew school, so I know the whole alphabet. I know how to speak Hebrew and pronounce the words right and all that. And yeah, well, this is interesting, and I'm sure you can connect some dots because Ani be connecting so many dots. My favorite one was the tefillin, not the tefillin, I mean the tzitzits has the 8 on it, like the octopus, and then the
Mhm.
blue comes from the octopus. There's just so much that you find, and it's funny because I learned more from your channel about my religion than I did go to Hebrew school. So
Well, Kabbalistic, the Kabbalistic black magic side. I'm pretty sure the religion aspect is.
oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I also loved about Jordan Maxwell too, because he was breaking down the words, and I knew the words, so I knew he was saying the truth because I understood like Elohim was plural for the
Mhm.
gods, the multiple plural, and so on the most important thing in my religion is the tefillin, which is the cube, right? How you got the Mecca cube,
Mhm.
and you put it on your arm and your head, but it always has a shin on it. Uh, but the shin is different. It has 4 on it. Yeah, and the cube goes into Saturn because
Mhm.
the north pole of Saturn is the hexagon.
Yep.
Um, and the cube is in every religion. The cross is it could be a cube when you fold it up.
Yep.
You know, um, another thing that you just this podcast was so I listened to the whole thing and I was just blown away. You always like my mind gets blown away, but the
Appreciate it.
yeah, the Saturn Jupiter conjunction, April. Oh no, did you say April 17th?
It's February 15th is Lupercalia.
Okay, yeah, I think February 15th. I'm also looking at February 18th because
Yes.
it's 218, and that was Joe Biden's text message was at 218. And also Kamala, if you look at her Freemasonic picture and Kamala, I don't know if you hinted that it sounded like Kabbalah when you said
Yeah,
Kamala.
yeah,
It sounded
yeah.
like Kabbalah. Her Freemasonic picture she posted on Twitter, uh, she's like on the checkerboard floor, and it was a Twitter post, but she posted it on February 18th a few years ago,
I
and
think I remember that. I do remember
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
this person right here was sacrificed when she was when they got in office too. This dude was sacrificed for Kamala, this wrestler as well.
uh-huh. And then you also got Matthew Perry and Obama Chef was
Yeah.
took yeah. No, it was a great show. I appreciate it. I'm
Yeah,
just
we about to set up and do something real soon. Want everybody to follow Donut. If you haven't followed him, his information. I want you to do something with that free martinism. I want you to do some digging, see if you could figure out a little bit more and give us some more symbology on it. I know you can go a little bit deeper. He's an expert into the symbology, and like I said, I always listen to your channel as well, brother. You're one of my favorite top 3, top 2 channels that I go to when I want to figure out information. I spoke about. I don't know if you heard the video I did. I did a video on Patreon about what you and Juan were talking about with the meme magic. That was an excellent video. If y'all haven't seen that video, go to the Juan on Juan podcast and check out him and Donuts and Paranoid Americans video on Trump being a chaos magician.
oh yeah. It's absolutely going on. And you brought up the show House of Cards where the woman becomes the 47th
Yes,
president.
Claire
And
Underwood. Yeah.
yeah, I think that would be Kamala because I think Biden will croak and then Kamala will step
It
in.
could, but I think it's so apparent. Like I can't see it happening because it's too apparent. It's like they always do something that we don't predict, but it's connected to the symbology of it. So it could happen like that. There will be some type of assassination attempt, but I don't know how it's going to play out.
And I always thought this was eye-opening. The two things that he's holding is a symbol for fascism. It's a bundle of sticks.
Oh,
And yeah, a bundle of sticks with a hatchet head usually is the symbol for the fascies. It's on the dime, the US dime, the 10 cent. And it's also in Congress where they talk, they got the two symbols of the bundle of sticks with the hatchet head. And why is there a fascist symbol in America? So everything is upside down, like that flag.
yeah, La Hafo upside. Yeah, there's an upside down again. So I
Oh
think
yeah, upside down.
we hit it on this video. I think we
Yeah. Oh, and another thing I saw today with the McDonald's up is the new Travis Scott video. He's eating McDonald's because he's promoted by it. So it's so obvious. You got also Cardi B's new video, Bongos. They open the fridge and it's product placement. So you could just see this. If you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, whoever paid them the most, they would get their beer on the show, so it's product placement. We're being manipulated to purchase products like 24/7. It's nuts. But thank you, Ani.
well, before you go, I wanted you to see the story. Just a
Yeah.
reminiscent memory. You see, January 15th, rare white penguin spotted in scientific base in Antarctica.
What?
To bring back the penguin, researchers. I did a video called Corvus the Neighbors, and I talked about how they found this white raven a couple of months ago, and it's a process called lucism. But they say in the Israelite mythos that when the Israelites need Elijah, which you know more, probably way more about Elijah than me, but Elijah's supposed to come when the Israelites is in trouble.
Yeah, he alcoholic.
Well, I never knew that, but
Well, he comes and he drinks the wine, so I call him an alcoholic.
he's probably
He's like the Santa Claus for me. Like, instead of Santa Claus coming to the house on a Passover, we put a cup of wine outside and Elijah drinks it, but it's just your parents dumping it out.
Oh wow! They just had a movie like the year before with the Santa Claus getting drunk and stuff with the guy that played the dad in Stranger Things, or the guy.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting. What were you saying about?
But the lucism happens. There's a mutation alchemically that happens. They say in the animals when the Israelites are in trouble. There's this mutation that happens, like the double heifer. You ever heard of double heifer? They believe when the double heifer came in the 90s that meant that Elijah will return. So Elijah is returning. So just wanted to add that in to our famous video, Illuminati penguins. If y'all haven't seen that, they're taking pineal glands out of penguins, and it's been recorded what they're doing with that. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to do the vampire. I'm going to watch. I got a bunch of old vampire films tying it to the female Illuminati.
Right.
So be good.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go in. I'm going to bring the whole magic aspect that they do with vampirism and some more Kabbalistic stuff. But, man, I really appreciate you for coming on, brother.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We're about to go ahead and close out for today. I appreciate all of y'all for joining. This is a great video for you guys to study, to look back upon it. And I'm going to be back on Patreon probably later this week. Me and Donut's going to do a show very soon. And we'll have probably another YouTube video in February. So it won't be no more in January. We'll come back in February and we'll pick it up. If you want more information like this, come to patreon.com/THE_spiritual shade room. You'll see the True Occult newspaper will pop up, and you can subscribe, and we gets it in during the week. So with that, I want to say Aaron Poya, Shulu, Ashe to the ancestors. Thank everyone for listening in, and we will be back next time. Appreciate you. See you soon.